Hello everyone and welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thank you guys so much for joining me. These are going to be your horoscopes for August 2026 for the 12 rising signs. Excited to be back and talk to you guys about what we've got going on this month. It's eclipse month and there is just a lot of big changes that are going to be taking place. So grab your chart, get comfortable, and we are going to jump right in. Now, as a reminder for you guys, I'm a Western astrologer. You're gonna get the most of my predictions by listening to your rising sign first, followed by listening to your sun and your moon sign. I especially recommend listening to your sun and your moon sign this month because we're gonna be having a solar eclipse in obviously Leo and a lunar eclipse in Pisces. So when we have these particular kind of lunations, we really feel that reverberate through our sun and our moon sign, especially if that happens to be for you, if you guys have Pisces or Leo in your big three. Now, if you're new here, welcome. Obviously, my name is Candice. I'm a Western astrologer, and what I like to do is show you guys the slides with all of the transits that I'm going to be covering for each and every one of the 12 rising signs. There's a lot going on and I don't want to overwhelm you guys. So I just want to kind of talk a little bit briefly about what's kind of happening in August. I do recommend taking a screenshot of this particular list, or you guys can also find it down below in the description. Now, this month we've got Saturn that is still retrograde in Aries, Neptune that is retrograde in Aries, and Pluto that is retrograde in Aquarius. So I just want to remind you guys that we still have some of like the giants that are kind of turning inward. And obviously, we're going to be seeing a full kind of eclipse lineup that's going to be taking place this month. On the 12th, we're going to see the first eclipse of the new series of eclipses in Leo and Aquarius. This is going to be at 20 degrees of Leo. And then we're going to see on August 28th, a lunar eclipse in Pisces, the final lunar eclipse in Pisces, and that'll be taking place at 4 degrees. Now, there's a lot of cosmic weather this month. It's kind of with eclipse months, we kind of feel as if the universe is asking us to close one door fully before the next one opens. So if you've kind of felt like you're being pulled between letting go and stepping forward, you're not imagining it. That is definitely what's happening. And if you guys are one of the few that are watching this early, before we even get to August, in July, you guys are gonna know exactly what I'm talking about because you're gonna feel all of these changes that are gonna be taking place really since the full moon in Aquarius around the end of July, around like the 28th or the 29th. Now, you're going to see in this list that there's going to be highlighted days that are going to be a little bit more challenging. There's very few of them, but if you see a highlighted day in yellow, that's just a day to kind of, practice a little bit more caution because the energies can be a little bit more extreme or intense. And for the most part, actually, I think in August, we have really great kind of astrological weather. Tons of air trines and sextiles. We also see lots of things that are going on between air and fire. So you're going to see a lot of interaction between planets that are going to be in Gemini, Leo, Libra, and we'll see all of those great energies that are going to be kind of setting up. Now, Mars will be entering into the emotional waters of Cancer. So I am expecting some choppy water, guys. Be careful with things that are water related and also maybe things that are connected to storms or just water related events. Obviously, Cancer deals with our home and also our family, so there could be a little bit more tension that can be going on the home front. And I would just say take caution with anything that deals with home, family, water related matters when we start to see the first kind of Neptune aspect. So this will be especially taking place around the 17th of August when Mars in Cancer squares Neptune in Aries. And then towards the end of the month, we're going to see starting around the 31st of August into the beginning of September, Mars in Cancer is going to start coming into a square with Saturn. Now, this can also mean like if you're trying to, put in swimming pools, or maybe it means that if you're trying to deal with anything kind of connected to, fixing kitchen sinks or anything that's kind of connected to, kind of fixing stuff at home. The Neptune square can mean that we're trying to get something done, but we don't see something so clearly and there can be accidents. So I see this a lot when like people have like boating accidents or when people are kind of drinking or like they're on the water. So be mindful of that. And then towards the end of the month, beginning of September, the Mars square Saturn is going to be, I think I was just feeling a little dissatisfied with whatever is kind of going on with like home and family related situations, or we're feeling like there's some delays with moving or kind of selling property. Now we're going to be moving from Leo season to Virgo season this month. And basically that means that there's going to be a pretty significant shift where we're moving away from where the energies have been with the solar eclipse. Now we're moving into mutable earth. So this is going to be more about our health, our habits, our routines, our pets. We just recently saw, the South Node kind of leave this particular sign. So we're not going to get hit with some of the usual kind of dealing with the past. And as we see planets that are going to be going through Virgo, now we're going to be seeing squares to Uranus in Gemini. So there will be quite a few squares, including, the Pisces lunar eclipse, which will obviously the moon will be opposing the sun and Mercury in Virgo. Those will both be squaring Uranus. So watch for the curveballs and some of the cosmic downloads. Now, on an important note, because there's always people asking me about, when do I make big money moves? When do I make big moves with relationships? And I want to let you guys know at the end of the month on, I have to see which day it is, but it's right at the very end of the month, Venus is going to go into shadow. Now, I haven't heard any other astrologers talking about this yet, so I think that's kind of weird, but it's going to enter 22 degrees of Libra at the end of the month, and it's really preparing for her October Venus retrograde, where Venus will be retrograding from Scorpio back into Libra again. Now, I highly, highly recommend before Venus goes into her shadow that you kind of get your Venus-related things done. That means that if you need to make any major changes aesthetically, like if you're wanting to go through a big kind of aesthetic change with your hair, cosmetic procedures, maybe you're wanting to pick up some new clothing, if you have to make big financial decisions or any commitments regarding relationships, I recommend doing it this month because we're not going to have good astrological weather for Venus related things again until about mid-November. So luxury purchases, people who are thinking about buying engagement rings, people who are thinking about, getting cosmetic work done, maybe people who are thinking about putting money down on venues and things, because Venus rules marriage and it rules relationships. And I also want you guys to know this is a time where we can start to see some of the kind of shadow related issues with balance and diplomacy in relationships that can start to kind of crop up. I have yet to really talk about this Venus retrograde. I'm going to be doing a webinar on it, probably hopefully putting it out for you guys in the next month or so because we've got some time before October. But this Venus retrograde that's going to happen in October, November is very nasty. I don't think I have seen one that is this complex in quite a long time, just due to the nature of Venus retrograde in Scorpio, which we deal with, issues kind of connected to people feeling like they have been betrayed. There can be secrets. There can be also lots of like painful, things that we're uncovering during the retrograde. And it just really tests relationships that we have to people, to pleasure, and to resources. I'm calling it a quadruple threat because it will be retrograde, in a debilitated state, Scorpio. It's going to be conjunct Mercury, which will also retrograde, which is the head and the heart. It's going to square Pluto, its dispositor, and we're also going to see that is going to be at some point squaring Mars. So it'll be the focal point of a square between Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. It's pretty nasty. So I'm telling you guys all to get your stuff done this month. My recommendation is if you need to make big decisions regarding this stuff, you can either do this around the 10th of August, where we're going to see Venus trine Pluto in Aquarius, or you can do this around the 17th of August when you see Venus sextile Jupiter in Leo, okay? So Venus trine Pluto in Aquarius or when Venus sextiles Jupiter is the better days to make some of those decisions. Thankfully, this month is actually going to wrap up with Jupiter in Leo trining Saturn in Aries, and that's a really great way to finish off the month. This basically is going to be the first of what will be 3 very stabilizing trines between now and summer of 2027. Jupiter in Leo wants bold confidence, it wants excitement, it wants growth, it wants romance, it wants creativity, and Saturn in Aries is going to give us the will, the responsibility, the capability, and I think also the commitment on a personal level to see some of these things come to fruition. So I like that. I'm assuming it's giving us that confidence to keep moving into September with optimism and obviously a lot of stable ground post-eclipse season, obviously. So I'm very curious to see how this month goes for you guys. You guys will have to let me know what's happening. Definitely leave me your rising sign down below and leave me a comment and let me know how these predictions are kind of playing out for you guys. I do read them. I can't always get back to all of them, but I always get a good like chuckle reading them at the end of the month when you guys come back and let me know how some of these transits have kind of manifested. So don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video, like the videos, share it on your socials, comment, subscribe, and share if you guys can. It really helps the channel grow. And we're going to jump right into the 12 rising signs. What's up, Aries and Aries risings? Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm excited to be back with you today. Obviously, there is just a bunch of stuff that's happening, but we're going to start by talking first with what's kind of happening with your ruling planet. So Aries, first things first, this is a month of becoming louder in your own life, and I think in all of the best ways. Mars, your ruler, so it is going to be starting off the month moving through Gemini, and then it's going to be coming into your 4th house. So as the month kicks off, it's still lighting up the part of your chart that's dealing with communications, quick connection, short distance trips, writing, blogging, learning. And I think you're going to feel sharp. I think you're going to feel social and maybe a little restless, but I think it's going to be in some good ways. And this is your window, I think, while Mars is still moving through Gemini, that the DM gets a reply, the conversation turns into something more, and an idea finally kind of clicks and you're able to say something out loud. Now, on the 11th of the month, you're going to see then Mars slide into your 4th house, which is going to be in the sign of Cancer. One thing I'll tell you is, number one, wherever Mars is kind of where you're going and what you're doing. So the 4th house is going back home to visit family. It is taking on some kind of home challenge. It's maybe dealing with a transformation in the home because Mars is also picking up the energy of your 8th. Now, I always tell my clients and also my audience, when Mars is going into the 4th house, have a to-do list, have something to work on. So if you've been meaning to clean out closets, if you've been meaning to have a garage sale, if you've been meaning to, hang, pictures up or anything like that, have a to-do list, because Mars likes to be busy. And if it's not, then usually there's a little bit of like a ruckus. So starting on the 11th, it moves into the 4th house. And this is the house that deals with your home. It deals with your roots. It deals with your family. And likely what you're going to find is like the whole mood is going to shift. And suddenly it's less about being seen and it's more about being safe and being kind of rooted and being protected. It is possible that old feelings about your family, your home, and where you truly belong start to surface. And I would say don't fight it. This is you building the foundation, I think, for the rest of the year and what you're going to be kind of standing on. And obviously at the, kind of midpoint in the month, we're going to see Mars coming into a square with Neptune. So that could have you feeling a little confused, a little emotional about where is home? What am I supposed to be doing? Where's my sense of direction? At the end of the month, you're going to see Mars start coming into a square with Saturn. And that's going to be about you going, what is my responsibility? And like, what belongs to other people? And like, what do I want to be fighting for when it comes to my home and security matters? So kind of keep that in mind. Those are going to be some sensitive spots. Now, pretty much like early August, the 5th through the 11th, it's doing a lot of work behind the scenes. You're going to see there will be a last quarter moon in Taurus on the 5th, and that's going to have you quietly, I think, releasing some financial habits. Okay, so you'll see the moon squaring from the 2nd house to the 5th. That has you, really reflecting on your worth and maybe what is past its expiration date in terms of what you're holding on to or what you're letting go of. Then there's a powerhouse window from the 6th through the 11th where you're going to see Venus in Libra in your 7th house. And this is going to be also having the sun that's going to be trining Saturn in your sign. And we're going to see Mercury that's going to be moving into Leo. And there's a cluster of aspects that are going to be making either a square to Chiron, an opposition to Pluto in Aquarius in your 11th house. And you're going to see some trines to Neptune and some sextiles to Uranus. So the translation of that is basically your relationships get more so balanced and your confidence gets a little bit more, I think, mature. Your voice maybe feels a little bit more magnetic, but there are still some lingering old wounds around self-love and expression that start to kind of surface, and they need to be healed, not necessarily repeated. So keep your boundaries clear if you can, because Venus will be in opposition to Neptune in the midst of that too. And that can make things look, I think, a little bit rosier than they really are, especially in regards to your relationship with other people. Then the big one, we're going to have the new moon and total solar eclipse in Leo will be taking place at 20 degrees in your 5th house, obviously. And this is a house that deals with romance, creativity, and joy. Now, this is a reset button, basically, and it's going to be a reset for 18 months when it comes to self-expression. So if you feel like you've been playing it small creatively or romantically, that all ends now. And it's kind of like paradoxical because solar eclipses represent a fresh start, kind of like, new actions, new events that kind of come in. But it is a south node solar eclipse. So there is like a feeling of having to kind of like literally clear out the past old ways of expressing yourself, dating, loving, and playing so you can start something new. So I would expect there's going to be like a spark, or there's going to be a project, a person, or a flash of, oh, this is who I am now, right around that particular date. And there can also be big changes happening in your romantic lives, in the lives of your children, so on and so forth. But thankfully, it is going to be making a loose trine to Saturn in your sign. So I do feel like it's about you going, what makes me happy? What do I love? How do I want to share? How do I create? And then mid-month, the momentum kind of keeps going. You're going to see Mercury is going to come into conjunction with Jupiter on the 15th, likely bringing a lucky idea or an aha moment. You'll also see Venus in Libra sextiling Jupiter in Leo, which is really kind of blessing relationships, either romantic or with children or creative collaborations. But Mars square Neptune the same day can leave your home life feeling a little foggy or unmotivated. So I would say this is about resting instead of pushing through around the 17th. By late August, you guys are going to see that the story shifts a little bit, and it's really shifting around the ideas around release. You're going to be seeing the sun coming into conjunction with the south node in Leo around the 22nd, and that's really about letting go of an outdated creative identity right as the sun enters Virgo and then turns your attention to anything that's involving health, your habits, your pets, your routines. And you will see Mercury follow and move into Virgo on the 25th, where then you will see on the 27th a Mercury cazimi. And this is giving you some real clarity on the habits that aren't working, right? Old, outdated ways of maybe eating, your lifestyle, things in terms of also your job and how you're communicating with people kind of at the office. And we close the month off with a full moon partial lunar eclipse in Pisces, and that will be on the 28th in your 12th house. Now, this is the last eclipse that we see in Pisces. This basically is the house that deals with rest. It's going to be about spirit, the subconscious, anything that's kind of like in your private world, and something that you've been carrying quite quietly now can like be released, and it can be kind of like let go. The challenge with this eclipse is that it is going to be squaring Uranus. So that basically says that there could be some unexpected kind of mental stress connected to work, a conversation that's been on your mind that you feel like you need to kind of come out with. And also it can radically change something about your daily routine. And so there can be some challenges either with short distance travel, some issues with gadgets, stuff like that. And the 12th house usually kind of shows us what's been living rent-free, like in our head, So the only positive I would say is that this is, going to be partially ruled by Neptune, which is in your sign. So basically it's about you releasing anything that you feel like is making you isolate from the world. And it's also partially ruled by Jupiter, which is obviously starting to come into a trine with Saturn. See, I think for a lot of you guys, you're about to realize that you can tap into some creative abilities that you didn't know that you had. And now it's starting to kind of come out. So you might have, some exciting news about your own business or about a side hustle or a creative project or even about children. Something is like starting to kind of emerge. And my prediction is that for you this month, likely a creative or a like romantic spark is going to happen mid-month, and you're going to see an emotional home or family decision that gives you real stability. And late month, you're going to be releasing an old identity, and likely this is one that you have outgrown. And Aries, I think you're not just starting over, like, you're actually getting wiser. Like there is like a sense of you focusing on you're really tapping into your wisdom and how you navigate that, especially when it means anything connected to like your creative process. So trust the fire, you know, I think be open to some of the new beginnings and the things that are going to be playing out for you in this next month. All right, so we're going to ask the cards what you guys need to know about the month of August. Card that I got for you is the Three of Wands, which I think is kind of cool. So I could definitely see, especially while Mars is in your third house, like there's a sense of you being like, okay, you know, we're going on a road trip. We're, you know, heading out to go and look for a new place to call home, or we're starting some new kind of, you know, creative adventure. There is a sense of, you know, picking the direction and sticking to it, and like other people who are going to play a role in this. So I think with that card coming up, it's basically saying you've already chosen, you've already decided what direction you're going in. The next phase is going to be, how do I actually make it happen? Like, how do I bring it to fruition? And I think that with some of the Mercury-Jupiter conjunctions that you're going to see, some of the other to Jupiter, any creative endeavors, any short distance travel, anything that involves writing, media, blogs, content, that stuff seems like it's going to be doing very well this month. And just your communication, I think, is really going to be on fire. And I think this is a month to commit to your vision and trust that what you have committed to in terms of where you're going, you're going to get there, but there is a sense of you having to let other people kind of help you along the way. So watch for the cast of characters and the people who are going to be showing up, and try to stay positive and optimistic, even if you are having to kind of balance some of these things with your home and family obligations. So hopefully that's helpful for you, Aries. Definitely let me know what happens in the next month. What's up, Taurus and Taurus rising? How you guys doing? Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. I'm excited to be here with you guys today. I think for you guys this month, Taurus, it's about making your life more beautiful without kind of losing your footing. Now, obviously, Venus is your chart ruler, so wherever Venus goes is where you are. And we're going to be starting by looking at what Venus is going to be doing this month. Well, she's going to start off the month actually in Virgo. So she's still moving through a fellow sister Earth sign. This basically means that it's putting an emphasis in your fifth house on pleasure, on anything creative, and everything that you're creating or you're doing. It's almost curated in a way. And it's like with Venus in Virgo, you want quality, not necessarily quantity when it comes to your joy. And then you'll see around August 6th, Venus is going to be entering into Libra. Now, it's moving into your house that deals with work, health, pets, daily service. And this is Venus in her most graceful when she's in Libra. So she can smooth out friction at work here. She can soften something around a routine that maybe feels like a chore. And she makes collaboration easy. Just watch the pull towards people and like people pleasing. And not every request is going to deserve a yes. When Venus goes through this part of your chart, the other thing to think about is like, it does mean that sometimes we have to do our due diligence to find the beauty in our everyday routines. So if that means we have to pick up a new pair of running sneakers to, you know, commit ourselves to like working out, maybe we bring some, you know, beautiful art or some plants or something into the office to kind of spruce the office up. We have to really treat these everyday kind of like little routines as mini rituals. And I think if you're doing that, you're going to enjoy it a little bit better. We will also see quite a few aspects that Venus is going to be making throughout the month, like trines to Uranus, oppositions to Neptune, obviously an opposition to Saturn. We're going to see some sextiles to Jupiter. And there's just going to be a lot of things kind of going on with Venus. So pay attention as I kind of go throughout the list. Now, I want to start first at the beginning of the month where we have the last quarter moon that's going to be taking place on August 5th. And that's going to have basically the moon in your first house, and it's going to be coming into a square with the sun in Leo. This basically means that this is a deeply personal kind of phasing out period. You're going to feel at the beginning of the month like you're shedding an old self-image, maybe an old habit or an old version of you that no longer fits, and it might feel a little tender. But I think it's going to be clarifying. And then from the 6th to the 11th, there's like a powerhouse of a bunch of transits happening. You're going to see that it's very busy because Venus is going to be activating and trying to focus on diplomacy at work. You'll also see the sun in Leo in your 4th house coming into a trine with Saturn in your 12th. This is quietly strengthening, I think, your home and your private life and your spiritual foundations. Then you'll see Mercury moving into Leo in your 4th house, and this is going to bring up a lot of conversations about what's going to make you happy at home. And that's going to be very important, how you're communicating with your family and kind of figuring out, what moves you guys have to be making, either physically or financially, or kind of clarifying, kind of family plans. We will see lots of aspects also happening during this time where there's going to be some trines and squares to Chiron throughout this month. We'll also see some aspects to Pluto in your 10th house of Aquarius, and also some oppositions and some sextiles or trines to Neptune in your 12th house. We're going to see, this is basically, I think, going to be about family healing. This is going to be about empowerment, deeper intuition, and it's going to be giving you some sudden insight into your daily life. While Mars is going to be moving into Cancer in your 3rd house, and this is really helping you energize your local errands, maybe a lot more action when it comes to your siblings, and also communication. And around August 10th and 11th specifically, I would say expect a creative or romantic spark that somehow ties back to your home or your family. Now on August 12th, there will be a new moon solar eclipse. This will be a total solar eclipse happening in your 4th house of home and family. And this is a 18-month reset on where and who you feel at home with, or where you feel safe. So this could represent an incoming move, maybe a renovation or a reconciliation, or simply a rebuilt sense of home. And you will see Mercury coming into conjunct with Jupiter on the 15th and Venus sextiling Jupiter on the 17th. I love that for you. I think that's expanding optimism around your domestic life and finding better work-life balance. And then we will see Mars in Cancer coming into a square with Neptune in Aries, and that's going to be happening around the same time, around the 17th. So this tells me that there can be some muddy communication. So I would say don't assume things, read the fine print, ask questions if you're confused. Now later in the month, we're going to see the first quarter square moon in Scorpio, where you'll see the moon in your 7th house squaring the sun in Leo. And this is really about growing your partnerships. And this is going to really highlight also, I think, as the sun is coming into conjunction with the south node on the 22nd, that you're releasing an old home pattern. And then we will see the sun enter into Virgo in your 5th house, and Mercury is to follow. And then we will see that those planets in your 5th house are going to be trining Chiron in your 1st. A Cazimi in the 5th house illuminates something about how you express joy. This is going to be about creativity, or it's going to be about romance or a creative breakthrough. Maybe there could be some sudden news or an epiphany about how your home or your family life is going to change, somehow connected to children or a romantic partner. We will see a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and this will be taking place around the 27th in your 11th house. This basically is going to be, highlighting for you, it'll be on the 28th, the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on the 28th. It's landing in your 11th house. So this is going to be about your friendships. This is going to be connected to your social standings. It will be potentially bringing up, maybe an ending or a value-based kind of realignment within your circle. This can also be a time, because this is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter's in your 4th, that it's really tying to completion of your home or your family goals. Maybe there is a party, or there's going to be a housewarming party, or maybe there is going to be some family reunion or some good news that's somehow kind of tied to your home or family situation. Then on the 31st, we're going to see Jupiter in your 4th house in Leo coming into a trine with Saturn in your 12th house. Honestly, a great way to finish the month. This to me feels like it's rewarding emotional foundations that you have built right as Venus is hitting her pre-retrograde shadow. So this is, especially for you and Libra, a quiet nudge to start noticing what's working and what isn't working at work or with your health ahead of the retrograde this year. Now, eventually, when Venus gets into Scorpio and she retrogrades in October, she will be retrograding in your 7th house. So she'll be looking back at your 6th, and this will be about what isn't healthy in relationships, what isn't working with clients. maybe where, you know, there is some relational dynamics that need to be worked out. And I would really, if I were Taurus rising, be paying attention to my health and my relationships, because you may start seeing where there's going to be some things that are going to have to kind of get worked out, especially if relationships are having problems just due to finding balance between, you know, your career and also your home life. Okay, very similar to the one we had in 2018. So you might want to think about the fall then. So my prediction is for Taurus and Taurus risings is like this month you get real about your, you know, home renewal. That'll be mid-month. You'll see a creative or romantic bloom that can be happening later in the month. A friendship circle that reshuffles into something that I think is going to be more honest. And Taurus, I think you're building stability and joy at the same time. So I hope it's a beautiful month for you guys. Let's take a look and let's see what you need to know. Card that I get is the Six of Coins, which honestly, just looking at Venus going into your 6th house, I could not have picked a better card for you guys, because a lot of it's going to be, what do I have the time for? And really trying to rework something about your values and like reprioritizing, you know, like I said, this balance between, you know, your private life and what's going on with your career. Six of Coins is you get what you give, okay? And so with Venus going into the 6th, I think this is basically saying you're more willing to kind of pay attention to managing your schedule, taking care of your health, you know, making sure that you're getting assistance or you're giving assistance as needed. That's definitely going to balance out your resources with some trines to Uranus and help you feel better balanced and better grounded, so you can be a lot more productive at work. So I would say, you know, like you get what you pay for. So if you're willing to pay for some assistance, or if you're willing to say, hey, it makes sense to pay a professional or to work with, you know, maybe a doctor or to work with a medical professional to get some of these things in order, or even hire somebody. It can even be about getting an assistant. You get what you put into things, and it may be worth spending a little bit more extra time or resources this month getting assistance, so that way you can really enjoy having some of the kind of time that you're going to have at home. For example, because you've got an eclipse and you've got so many planets moving through the 4th house, some of you guys might be entertaining, right? And so you might be like, well, it makes sense just to get the food catered, you know, or it makes sense just to, you know, hire somebody to come in and like set it up for me, or it makes sense to hire somebody to come in and like clean it all up for me, you know, so you can really be present, you can enjoy, and you don't feel like you're kind of getting overwhelmed with all the communication and like the back and forth, and like, yeah, some stuff is worth paying for, basically. So you get what you get, what you pay for, and you get what you give. Try to maintain balance and find balance this month if you can. And I'm hoping you guys have a really beautiful month this August. I'll catch you guys back here in September. All right, we've got my Gemini and Gemini risings. What's going on, Gemini? Welcome to your August horoscopes. I'm excited to be here with you today. Gemini risings, get ready, because I think what you're going to see is this is a your words become your world kind of month. Now, as you know, I'm always going to be paying attention to what's going on with Mercury, because you're Mercury ruled, and Mercury is actually going to be starting the month off hanging out in Cancer in your 2nd house. So early on in the month, your thoughts are kind of tangled up with security. It's about money. It's about self-worth. It's about what makes you feel safe. Then on August 9th, we're going to see Mercury slide into Leo, your 3rd house of communication, your local life, and this is where everything sharpens. Mercury loves being in this house. It also is really friendly for you because it's going to sextile you by sign. And I think maybe you're funnier. I think you're going to be faster. You're more magnetic in conversations. And this is kind of your window to pitch, to write, to speak, to post, whatever gets your ideas out of your head and kind of like into the world. That's going to be the focus. Now, we will see on the 5th, there is going to be a last quarter moon, where the moon going through Taurus in your 12th house is going to come into a square with the sun in your 3rd. And this tells me that there is like this quiet release, and you're releasing a hidden worry about maybe your own worth, or, you know, where you've been carrying more than you potentially realized. I would say walk it out, do some breath exercises, do some journaling. And then on the 6th through the 11th, the window turns up the volume, okay? So we're going to see Venus in Libra is going to activate your 5th house of romance and creativity, I think with real charm. We're going to see the sun that will be coming into a trine with Saturn in your 11th house. And this is really supporting steady progress towards a group goal. And then Mercury moving into Leo is going to be bringing, I think, healing, transformative, intuitive, and innovative layers to your communication all at one time. I'm also keeping an eye on Mercury and Jupiter starting to come into conjunction, because that can be a great time for you guys to meet someone. So you might meet somebody while you're on a road trip locally, on a dating app, you know, you might meet somebody through a sibling, or just kind of like hanging out and walking around town. Now we will see Mars enter Cancer in your second house. This is basically energizing your earning power. And the thing with Mars going into your second house is sometimes it can burn a hole in your pocket. So it can mean that you're spending more, it can mean you're consuming more, and it can also mean that some of these spending or eating habits are kind of emotionally driven, right? Because this is ruled by the moon. Now around August 10th and 11th, expect a strong momentum for pitching ideas, networking, or creative writing. Plus, I could see possible romantic sparks tied to like self-worth or money that's kind of clicking into place. Around August 12th, we're going to see a new moon total solar eclipse in Leo in your third house. And this is big for you specifically because, well, Mercury is going to be kind of in the mix. It's going to be very close to this eclipse. And it lands in your third house. So it's going to be about your voice, what you're learning, how you communicate, how you connect. This is also really putting an emphasis on your siblings and also how you get around town. So vehicles, you know, short distance travel, road trips, contracts, all that stuff is really important here. And we're going to see Mercury sextile Uranus the same day. Okay. So you've got your chart ruler making an aspect to Uranus in your sign. And I have a feeling there's going to be a bright idea download or maybe some sudden travel. And this is electrifying your ideas even further. And then you will see on the 15th, Mercury conjunct Jupiter. So this is the day that I think you might meet somebody if you're single. And you will see Venus sextile Jupiter on the 17th. Whoa. So this is a real opportunity for communication, travel, teaching, maybe signing a contract, you know, a project or a big announcement. Just know that Mars will be squaring Neptune on the 17th though. So you have to really double check your finances before you commit to anything. And then later in the month, you'll see around the 19th, there is going to be a first quarter square in Scorpio. So we've got the moon that is going to be squaring the sun. And this is on the 19th. This is pushing you for some kind of like work and health transformation and maybe, you know, some kind of change to your schedule. While the sun is going to be conjunct the south node on the 22nd. And this is kind of releasing outdated ways of communicating, maybe making a change with a vehicle. Maybe it's going to be about releasing a gadget or, you know, going back to something that you used to study or something that you used to read. And we will also see the sun entering into Virgo in your fourth house of home. Okay, so this is now kind of focusing on what's going on with home or family. Mercury is going to follow. It's going to be there on the 25th, and we're going to see that this is going to be trining Chiron. So this is about supporting healing family conversations. And then on the 27th, there's going to be a Cazimi, where there is some kind of like epiphany or realization about something kind of connected to your home or your family or your living situation. So there's some real clarity about this. Followed by the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces. Well, you will see that be the last eclipse that's going to be in Pisces in your 10th house of career and reputation on the 28th. Now, I would expect an emotional culmination or a surprising turn in your public life. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult for you, Gemini, I'm not going to lie, because it will be squaring Uranus in your first house, and it will be creating a T-square where the moon is going to be in your 10th, the sun is going to be in your 4th, and it's going to square Uranus. So it means that you're like, okay, there is some big work stuff going on or career stuff going on, but like there's also some things changing with family and you feel maybe like a little bit stressed, you know? So take it easy on your body around that day. Know that the month is going to be wrapping up where, you know, we're going to see a Jupiter-Saturn trine around the 31st, where Jupiter in your third house is going to be trining Saturn in your 11th. That tells me that, you know, your best ideas are going to be kind of thought over or mulled over with your friends, or there's going to be a sense of like lasting group success, or if you're working on group projects or anything like that, you're going to get a lot of like really great feedback. So my prediction for you for this month is that, you know, communications you're going to have a lot of communication wins. I think it's going to really pay off, and a career visibility shift late in the month, and a home life that finally starts to feel, I think, grounded instead of scattered. So Gemini, just know that your words are really kind of shaping your reality right now. Trust in some of these new ideas that are kind of coming in for you, and try to hold the line when the eclipses come in at the end of the month, okay? So let's take a look and let's see. What do my Geminis and Gemini risings need to know this month? Oh, wow. Yeah, it's very relationship oriented, Two of Cups. I think between the Jupiter-Mercury conjunction, which, you only see that once a year, and also the fact that it's going to trine Saturn, and then you're going to see Venus sextile this. What a great month for Geminis when it comes to romance and their relationships. Those who are committed, I think you're going to see better communication, and just you're kind of on the same page in terms of what your goals are and where you're going. But those of you guys who are single, I see a lot of opportunities for you guys to be able to meet people, especially with Venus going through, your 5th house. I also want you guys to know that like Venus is going to be entering into shadow, right? So, she's going to be going through your 5th house, which is about romance, and then she'll go into the 6th, and then she'll look back. So this could mean this fall is about you reassessing, is this the person for me? Do I see myself committing to them? Is this going to work? Can we find ways to work each other into each other's lives, schedule-wise? And I think that the Two of Cups, which talks about an offer, some kind of person who's reaching out to you saying, hey, do you want to connect? Do you want to collaborate? Do you want to go out to dinner? There's going to be a lot of that with Mercury conjunct Jupiter. I think the thing is that you're in the midst of either some big home or family changes and career changes, and you're like, the timing could not be more off. And I would just say communicate and tell them, where you're at personally, so that way you can navigate this and you can give yourself a little bit more time to kind of get to know this person and really see love grow. And I would say accept invitations right now to join clubs, to join groups, to, connect with people. These invitations, I think, are going to be really, really important for you. And it's going to open the door for you to feel like you have support, especially if there's been some kind of challenges or issues that have been either going on with work or going on with some of your social connections. Okay. Good luck, Gemini. I hope it's a good month for you guys. Definitely let me know what happens. What's up, Cancer and Cancer rising? Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. I hope you guys are well. Excited to be back with you all. Obviously, in some ways, Cancer, this month, the spotlight is kind of on you, and it's not necessarily your role or your responsibilities. It's on you and your actions and your behavior. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. As you know, you're ruled by the moon. We've got eclipse season, so even though they're not in your sign, there's definitely a feeling, of kind of being very involved with some of the bigger kind of changes and the things that are kind of concluding and the things that are kind of coming in. And you know that the moon changes signs about every 2.5, 3 days. So pay attention to the lunar phases, pay attention to when I talk about those, as well as the both of the eclipses, because they're going to be kind of mapping your emotional weather in real time. Now we're going to start off by talking right about the beginning of the month, where we see the first aspect, which is going to be the last quarter moon in Taurus. And this will be where the moon is moving through your 11th house of friends and goals and allies. And it's coming into a square with the sun in Leo in your 2nd house of resources. Most likely what you're going to find is that there is like this release of tension around a friendship group and like a long held goal that kind of stopped feeling aligned for you. And then from the 6th through the 11th, there's a window where there's like a lot of things that are going to be shifting. Venus enters into Libra, where she's going to beautify your home and your family life. The sun in your 2nd house of resources will trine Saturn in your 10th house of career, which I think is really wonderful and supports discipline, progress in your career and reputation, and potentially even financially as well. And then we will see Mercury moving into Leo, which is going to boost your confidence. Lots of conversations about money and also about values. Now, here's the big headline, though, and this is why I feel like your kind of main character energy this month is that you have Mars moving into your sign. So it will be moving into your 1st house, and this is going to be starting around the 10th or the 11th is when you're going to feel this shift. Positive is that Mars loves to be in the 1st house. This is like what you do when you get up first thing in the morning. So I would tell my clients that when you have Mars going through the 1st house, get up, be productive, work out, be proactive, and like focus on moving your body. Mars is going to be tied to your career and reputation. It's also going to be tied to creativity, children, romance, or self-expression. So you're either getting up and you're having some sexy time, or you're getting up and having some creativity time, or you're getting up and you're moving your body and you're becoming more kind of focused on some of your professional goals. And you need to do that literally for like the several week period that this is going to be going on. The thing is that even though I think it will, boost your personal drive, your courage, and your presence, it can make you moody. It can make you a little aggressive. It can make you feel more, than you have in some time. And I would say, expect that supported push when it comes to career and, personal initiative, which is good. But be mindful of when Mars is coming into a square with Neptune, because I do think that there can be a sense of you getting a little flustered that you're not seeing career progress happen as quickly. And then at the end of the month, when you start to see Mars coming into a square with Saturn, it can mean a lot of the same things. Okay, so then on August 12th, you're going to see a new moon solar eclipse that's going to be taking place in your second house of money, self-worth. And this is basically a powerful 18-month reset when it comes to your income and how you value yourself. Here's the deal. Solar eclipses make things happen. It's action, right? And the Jupiter, Mercury being there seems to imply that there's going to be some good news when it comes to money and resources. Could be a contract, could be that you're buying a car, could be that you're buying a gadget, could mean that you're just feeling more confident. The issue that I have with this is that this is a South Node eclipse. So there's kind of like this sense of whatever news comes can feel very big, right? Mercury, Jupiter. So it could be there is a big gain or there is a big loss. Now, because it's trining Saturn, I don't feel like it's going to be a loss for my Cancer risings. I would just say, and I will continue to tell you guys in particular, do not get cocky with money this year, okay? Mars is going to continue to move through Cancer, then it's going to come into Leo, so you're going to see big fluctuations with your finances. Money will come in, and then money will go, and then money will come in, and then money will go. So focus on detachment, because the South Node, it's like reminding yourself the money will be there. The universe provides. Everything is, provided for me. I'm constantly attracting abundance. If you have that mindset and you're detached from what actually shows up, it's going to be a lot easier for a lot of you guys. And I think you guys are going to find that money's going to flow a lot better. You will see Mercury conjunct Jupiter on the 15th. And then you're going to see Venus sextile Jupiter on the 17th. And this is just, honestly, I mean, it's expanding your earnings. It's expanding your domestic pleasure. Just watch out on the 17th when Mars squares Neptune. That basically means that you might be over idealizing a career situation. You have to stay anchored in what you actually truly feel. Now, later in the month, around the 19th, you're going to see the moon in Scorpio coming into a square with the sun in Leo. And that basically is the first quarter square. So maybe you see advances in romance and creativity. The sun will also come into conjunction with the South Node on the 22nd, and that's about releasing old patterns around values. Then right after that, the sun and Mercury are going to move into Virgo in your third house of local communication, learning, siblings, and short distance travel. Now on the 25th, Mercury will be in this house and it will be trining Chiron in Taurus. So this basically means that there can be, healing conversations. That Kazimi is also going to be around the 27th. And that's healing conversations with friends, clear communications and understandings with groups. And then we will have a full moon partial lunar eclipse, and that's going to be in Pisces on the 28th in your 9th house. Now, this is going to be around 4 degrees. So it will be starting to come, actually it'll be in a trine to Mars in your sign. So just with the eclipse being a water sign, I think it's easier for you guys. With it trining Mars, you're going to feel more incentivized, to go after your career goals or to go after passionate, creative projects. Lunar eclipses are emotional by nature. It does look like the square to Uranus in your 12th. And then obviously, the square is going to be here. Is about maybe something coming out of left field or getting blindsided about some travel plans or unexpected travel plans or some changes. And I think a lot of you guys are just craving rest and relaxation. So it's not unusual when you're having a full moon or an eclipse in the 9th house. You're like, I'm on a trip or I'm going to be at an airport. That's fine. Just expect some unexpected kind of, turbulence in terms of your travels. And This is going to be an eclipse that's really about a shift in your worldview and a release of a limiting belief or real movement on, travel or education. Then the month finishes off on the 31st with Jupiter in your second house of resources, trining Saturn in your 10th house of career. Wonderful. This is going to be the first of what will be 3 trines over the next year, and this is helping you build lasting financial and career foundations. Right as Venus is starting to come into shadow in your 4th house, and it's going to be a preview of kind of home and romance related things that are to come. So in October, Venus will actually dip into your 5th house, and then it will turn retrograde back into your 4th. So it might mean that some of you guys are going to change something about your home decor. Maybe you're having to reconnect with, your home. Maybe there's a kid moving back home. It could also represent for some of you guys that there's going to be a change in your romantic relationships, and that's impacting your living situation. So if you're a Cancer or Cancer rising, I really advise you this month to try to get your affairs in order if you have to buy furniture, if you have to sign a lease, if you're looking to buy a house, if you're looking to rent or relocate, like try to do that now. Otherwise, it may be smart to wait until closer to November to do some of this stuff. But my prediction for you guys is that a new financial chapter is going to emerge mid-month. Real career stability arrives in August, and by late month, you're going to start to see a shift in how you see the world or some major conclusion or completion involving education or travel. I really think, Cancer, that you're stepping into, empowered, intuitive presence with Mars in your sign. So I think the tides are actually turning in your favor. And let's see what the cards have to say for you guys for the month ahead. All right. So what does Cancer need to know? Wow, again, 2 of Cups. Holy cow, you and Gemini. Well, obviously relationships, right? But I think this is more about your relationship to things. And I don't necessarily think it's people. Saturn's more people. Your relationship to money, your relationship to your job seems to be the huge focus with some of the trines. But could this mean that there is a significant shift in relationship land? Sure. Could you meet somebody? Could there be some significant connection? Although the astrology is not really suggesting that right now. You guys aren't really in that phase. Saturn does rule romantic relationships. Jupiter is going to rule more about scheduling work and timing. So this is more a month that's like you would have more job offers, you would have more clients, you would have more financial opportunities. And maybe this just means that you're learning to say, yes, I receive that. Thank you. I do receive. And I think that's part of like what I was telling you guys with the South Node solar eclipse in Leo is that you have to be receptive to abundance, but not expecting it. Practicing a little bit of, I think, gratitude work this month would be really, really, really good. Like I would be doing that around the solar eclipse. I would be like, thank you, universe, for all the abundance that you have bestowed upon me, and maybe putting out some orange flowers or yellow flowers or fruit or something like that, something golden to represent the fact that the abundance is already there, that, the universe might ebb and flow, but that you're still open to receiving. And find opportunities for people to be able to share that with you. And that also might be, family relationships. It might be something that kind of pops up throughout the month as well. But hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Interesting to see that card coming up again, and you'll have to let me know what happens. And I'll catch you guys back here in September. Hey, Leo and Leo rising. Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. Happy birthday if you happen to be in August, Leo. My goodness, so many things are aligning for you guys this month. I'm very excited to see what's happening in your life. This is your season, this is your month, and I think it's asking you to shine first and then let things settle. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna explain it to you. But as you know, the sun is your ruler. So it's spending basically the first 3 weeks of August in your first house of self. So it's just lighting you up. It's really putting a spotlight on you, how you look, how you feel. It's about confidence, it's about charisma, it's about creativity, and it's also just about owning that and really like letting your light shine. Now you will see after that it's going to be shifting into Virgo. So it will be going into your second house of money, values, resources, and that's going to be around August 22nd. Each month, early month I think is more going to be about your bold personal presence, and then later in the month is going to be about kind of turning that presence into something that's stable and something that's long lasting. Now what you're going to see is There will also be a solar eclipse in your sign, so you guys are going to be feeling the effects of that all month long. I'm just going to tell you before I even get into it that this is a south node eclipse, so it's almost like you're shedding old skin, okay? So out with the old, in with the new. And it could be your hairstyle, your wardrobe. It could be something connected to feeling like you're kind of having a little bit of like a mini identity crisis. You know, been there, done that, went through the South Node eclipses in Libra a couple of years ago and like obviously went through like a really big physical transition. You may see some of the same things. With Jupiter being there, okay? Jupiter is tied to creativity, performance, romance, children. So we're going to see a lot of Leo and Leo risings that are going to get pregnant with these eclipses. We're going to see a lot of them that are going to start really dressing, you know, like their main character energy, dressing up a little bit more. And Jupiter is also going to be about change and transformation. So this is how you guys are embracing changes with your appearance and learning to be more youthful, creative, and playful, okay? Last quarter moon is going to happen in Taurus on August the 5th, where you're going to see the moon going through your 5th house, coming into a square with the sun in your 1st. Kind of uncomfortable. I don't think you guys are going to dig it. This basically is about releasing an outdated career role or ambition that no longer fits who you're becoming, okay? So roll with the punches. Then August 6th through the 11th, this window really builds momentum. You're going to see Venus is entering into Libra, so it's bringing more charm to local communications, contracts, anything that deals with short trips, siblings. Then you're going to see the sun in your sign trine Saturn, which is a great day for you guys. It's about supporting your disciplined beliefs or travel plans. And then Mercury moves into your 1st house, amplifying your self-expression with opportunities to focus on communicating your values. You know, maybe you're more intuitive. Maybe there is like a sense of more innovative energy that starts coming into your life. It will oppose Pluto, so it's going to be about you going, I'm choosing me, I'm choosing joy, I'm choosing happiness, you know, and you may have some people that are kind of pushing back on that, but you're really speaking your truth, I think, with Mercury in your sign. And then on around the 10th or the 11th, you're going to see Mars entering into Cancer. So it will be moving into your 12th house, and this is fueling behind the scenes and kind of spiritual work, resting, recuperation, travel to foreign lands. That can happen too. I would expect a strong shift where, you know, you're going to be really focusing on strong personal visibility, a conversation that lands with real impact, and then quiet healing that's happening beneath the surface. Mars deals with travel. So traveling to foreign lands or studying more or, you know, being in courses or kind of working on spiritual matters, cleaning out closets, cleaning out things that are connected to your home or doing like family or ancestral kind of healing would be another good idea because Mars is tied to your 4th house. And then the moment really I think that everybody is waiting for, especially you, is going to be the August 12th new moon total solar eclipse that's happening directly in your 1st house. Now this will be at 20 degrees. So if you have anything 18 to 22 degrees of Leo, sun, moon, rising, you're going to be feeling this the most. We have not seen these particular eclipses in like 18, 19 years. And you might want to go back and think about what was happening in your life then. We're going to see in your 1st house, this is the personal reset of the year. So new chapters in your identity, your appearance, and also your initiative. And it's seeding this for the next 18 months. And like, this is an eclipse that has legs, guys. It's not just because we're having an eclipse and you'll see it play out over 6 months. Eclipses can last 18 to 24 months, sometimes even longer. And this one's going to last clear into next year because it is the same degree which Mars is going to retrograde through. So it tells me that a lot of my Leo and Leo risings are going to make a lot of travel plans, a lot of educational plans, a lot of relocation or home plans. A lot of things are going to be changing over like the next, like 2 years. Now, obviously take it easy around the time of the solar eclipse, like give or take a day on each side. I don't want you guys feeling like you're trying to do too much. Not a good day to chop all your hair off, not a good day to try to do anything surgical or to try to do anything crazy to your body. I would recommend you guys just get some sunshine, you know, fast, stay hydrated, just do that day and just focus on what you're kind of releasing because that's what the South Node is about. And it's at a 20, so it's going to be about transformation. Now, new chapters in your identity, your appearance, and your initiative are going to take place. You'll see Mercury in your sign sextiling Uranus in your 11th house, which I think is really electrifying your self-presentation the same day. And then on the 15th, you're going to see Mercury conjunct Jupiter. This is where I think a lot of Leo and Leo risings are going to make an announcement where they're going to go, I'm pregnant, or I met somebody, I'm in love, or, I've got this new business that I'm launching, and you're going to announce something probably on your socials and tell everybody the good news. The only thing that I would say to watch, even though there's tons of confidence and there's a lot of good luck, is that Mars in your 12th house is going to square Neptune in your 9th. And this might stir up your subconscious a bit. Rest before you make this big announcement or before you push everything forward. Now, late month, you're going to see the first quarter moon in Scorpio, where the moon is squaring the sun in your sign. I also don't think you're going to like this because both of the quarter moons are going to be squaring the sun going through Leo. This is advancing home and family transformation, and you will see the sun conjunct the south node on the 22nd. A day where you might feel like the wind's kind of knocked out of your sails a little bit. It's really important to ground your energy. And also I think this is about releasing old ego patterns. And then the sun and also Mercury are going to be shimming into your second house where your mind is on your money. Now, Mercury will align in your second house around the 25th. We're going to see the sun and Mercury that are going to be trining Chiron. So this is going to be practical healing around money and your career. And then on the 27th, you're going to see a Cazimi, which is important for you because you're ruled by the sun. So there's going to be some real aha moment or insight or breakthrough about your values, your money, your resources, followed by a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, which will be on the 28th. And you'll see this is the last moon that's going to be in Pisces in your 8th house of change, transformation, joint finances. This is also ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter's in your sign, which means you may be experiencing a personal mini death or rebirth phase in your life. It can be good news in regards to inheritances, money won, partners' money, and intimacy or shared resources, but there is some emotional closure kind of going on here, one way or another. Now, around the 31st, the month is going to end with Jupiter in your first house trining Saturn. So this is building long-lasting personal foundations, and I think, Venus coming into shadow around the same time, she's going to be sitting in your third house. This is going to be really talking about previews of the communication reviews that kind of lie ahead in October and November. Venus rules cars, communication, contracts, traveling, moving, your career and your status. So it might be showing you where you need to be a little bit more cautious with planning travel after the end of the month. Maybe be cautious where you're reading all of the details and contracts. I would not be buying a car. That's just me. I would be waiting. And also if you're moving, it might be really about making some big reevaluations if you were to potentially move. So all in all, I think my prediction for you guys this month is just watch. There's going to be a genuine identity or image shift that's going to be coming about this month, probably mid-month. It'll take time to unfold. Growing financial stability and deep, intimate, or psychological closure for you in late August under that Pisces eclipse. Leo, this is your month to step boldly into, I think, renewed self while building something that's going to be long lasting. So really the spotlight is yours. It's up to you which direction this is going to go in. Let's see what the cards have to say for my Leos and Leo risings. Wonderful. Look at this, the Hierophant. So this means that there's like a real sense of maturing and growing up going on this month. And I attribute a lot of that to maybe just as planets are moving through Leo in your first house, they're trining Saturn. Some of you guys may be graduating, right? It could be programs. It could mean that you're kind of going through, major life-changing events and things where you're coming of age. So this could be marriage, ceremonies, engagements. This could also mean big, kind of celebrations in terms of just like life accomplishments and really kind of growing up and finding your space in society. This is also a card that deals a lot with Taurus. And so what's interesting is you will see when planets are going through your sign, they are going to be squaring Chiron. So it's going to be I think a little bit of some wounding that you're dealing with where you're I have to kind of put some of my work or my career or my status stuff on back burner because I have to prioritize me. And so I think that's okay. It's fine. I mean, you will see there is going to be an opportunity to revamp something work related, over the next couple of months under the Venus retrograde. You will also probably find that this is connected to websites or media or things that are connected to, sales and how you communicate with people at work. This month, let it be all about you. Let yourself kind of celebrate some of like the mini wins and the accomplishments that you're kind of experiencing. And sometimes the Hierophant can be about getting some kind of advice from like a mentor or somebody who is like a professional, right? So if you're like, oh, I need to talk to a lawyer, I need to talk to a therapist, I need to talk to a travel professional, you know, like talk to those people, because somebody can kind of pop in. And I think that's probably some of the trines that you're going to see to Saturn, that you're going to have somebody who's going to give you some kind of guidance if you need it. They're going to present themselves and be available. Leo, I hope it's a great month for you guys. You have to let me know what happens. Very excited to see how it plays out for you. So definitely leave me some comments in the comment section below. I'll catch you guys back here in September. Hey Virgo and Virgo rising, welcome to your August horoscopes. Happy to be here. And obviously if you are in August Virgo, happy birthday to you guys. I hope it's a good one. We got a lot of stuff going on this month. And for my Virgo risings, I think your mind is getting like a full workout this month. From emotional networking to your public voice to your personal precision. Obviously, Mercury, your ruler, is going to be starting the month off in Cancer. So it will still be moving through the part of the skies that deals with friendships and, accepting invitation to places, focusing on your long-term goals, socializing, networking. And then you're going to see it's going to shift into Leo, and that's going to be moving into your 12th house, which is going to be really putting an emphasis on rest, relaxation, privacy, behind the scenes, getting a little bit more time to kind of rest and recuperate. And then it's going to be moving into your own sign, and that's going to be happening around August the 25th. So that is basically a lot of energy that's going to be happening with your chart ruler this month. There will be a Cazimi as well. So the Cazimi will be taking place in your sign. So that's something else that you guys are going to want to kind of keep an eye out for, but I'll cover that in your overview. Now the month is going to be starting with the last quarter moon in Taurus. And this will be the moon moving through Taurus in your 9th house, squaring the sun in Leo in your 12th. I kind of read that as maybe releasing a limiting belief or a travel plan that's just not working. Then you're going to see from the 6th through the 11th of August, there is just gangbusters of a bunch of transits that are going to happen at once. And it's quite a strong window where Venus is going to be moving into Libra in your 2nd house of money and resources. So it's good for money, good for luxury purchases. You're going to see a real glow up when it comes to your self-worth here, especially when it comes to positive change that's happening at work with trines to Uranus, and also to shifts that are happening in your daily health and habits. Then you're going to see the sun in Leo trine Saturn in your 8th house. This is basically supporting discipline around shared resources and what you're willing to release or sacrifice. And then Mercury is going to be obviously moving into your 12th house, which is really putting an emphasis on your intuition, your sleep, your dreams, rest and relaxation. And then you're going to be seeing a little bit more of an emphasis on, intuition and maybe studying things that are spiritual. Mars is going to enter into your 11th house, and this is going to be happening around the 10th or the 11th. And this is energizing anything connected to your groups, your friends, your allies, and your goals. So I would expect, during this window at the beginning of August, like more career visibility, financial flow that's actually working, network that's supporting you around, the 10th or the 11th of August in a very positive way. Around the 12th of the month, we're going to see a new moon total solar eclipse in Leo, and this will be the very first eclipse. That's a series of eclipses that are going to be taking place in Aquarius and Leo for like the next 2 years. Now, the 12th house is a house that is our shadow self, okay? It does not make a direct aspect to the ascendant. So this can be things that are living rent-free in our head, things that are subconscious, things that are taking place in our dreams, self-sabotaging behaviors, spiritual cycles, karmic closures. And when you see this solar eclipse, it's basically an 18-month reset when it comes to your spiritual life. And it's a real window for finally releasing something, maybe that's been kind of like irritating you in the background, or Maybe there has been some, confusion or a need for clarity about creative matters, Leo, about romance, about things that are connected to romantic partners. And obviously this is ruled by the sun, and the sun is going to be there trining Saturn. So there's going to be just old patterns of release that are kind of going on for you. Some of you guys will be traveling. Some of you guys will be kind of meditating more and focusing more on spirituality. Now, Mercury will also be sextiling Uranus. So that brings, with a little bit of innovation and stuff behind the scenes, brand new, fresh professional ideas. And Mercury will be conjunct Jupiter in the 12th house, which is excellent for travel or for meditation, reflection, or kind of closing out old karma. And you will also see that this will be sextiling Venus. Okay, so Venus will be sextiling Jupiter here right around the 17th. And that will expand your luck around finances. One thing you want to watch for is that Mars around the same time in Cancer in your 11th house is going to be squaring Neptune. And so there can be some fog around friends and money, around joint resources and goals. And it's really important to get clear on your actual goals before you commit to anything financially. Now, late in the month, you're going to see around the 19th, there is going to be a first quarter moon square in Scorpio. So the moon will be here in your 3rd house. It'll be squaring the sun in Leo in the 12th. This is really advancing communication and local growth. And then you'll see the sun conjunct the south node in your 12th house on the 22nd. And that's releasing old karma that's connected to maybe relationship karma. It could be anything connected to romance and children. It could be things where it's directly tied to past lives and your subconscious. Honestly, with this many planets in the 12th house and with eclipses happening in the 12th house, there's a lot of change happening behind the scenes. And the way I kind of view it is there's either a secret that you have that you want to tell people. There is a need to retreat and kind of pull away before you make a big decision in a relationship. Or you're just becoming very spiritual and you're just very tapped in and like you're just kind of, isolating yourself a little bit. But with the sun conjunct the south node on the 22nd, there is something that you're releasing, and it's very, very private. And I think with planets then coming into Virgo, your own sign, it's reactivating something in terms of your personal presence. Now you'll see the sun will enter into your sign, and then Mercury is going to follow around the 25th. And when the sun and Mercury are in your sign, it's going to trine Chiron. So it's going to be about real lessons in self-healing. And then the Cazimi that will take place on the 27th. That's very important for you guys because Mercury is sitting right beside the sun in your 1st house. And that means that there is going to be some sharp clarity about who you are, who you're becoming. Maybe this is about that secret or some kind of big news that you're getting ready to kind of release. And I think for me, whenever I've had that Mercury Cazimi in my 1st house, it's always been like, oh, why did I not see this? Or like, oh, maybe I'm the problem, or we kind of we can actually finally start to see our blind spot. So it's a really amazing day for like therapy, healing, anything that's connected to dream interpretation, getting a reading, right? That can be helpful. Then you will see the final lunar eclipse in Pisces, which will be taking place in your 7th house of relationships, your opposite sign, on the 28th. Now, in the 7th house of partnerships, I would expect a relationship to hit a major turning point. Positive is that, the 7th house for some of you guys could mean you're getting engaged, you're getting married, there's a new business partnership, there's a big new launch for some kind of product. The challenging thing is that the ruler, Jupiter, is in your 12th house. So it may mean that there is an ending that even you didn't see coming about a relationship, or a partner is needing some space and they're asking, to kind of be given some space to kind of do their own thing. And also, I think about the Sun Mercury Cazimi, where you're going to have a breakthrough about, hey, if something's not working, it's not working. And then boom, you have the lunar eclipse in your 7th. The other thing I think about is that it's going to form a T-square to Uranus in your 10th. So it could mean that there is a severing of a partnership that affects your career or your professional standings. So breaking up with a business partner, right? Taking space maybe from clients. Those kinds of things can kind of happen. So it really depends. It's a bit of a curveball, but there's definitely going to be a relationship turning point. And if you have been feeling like something's not working, or you need some space from something, or maybe you guys need to do some healing together, it could definitely come up around the eclipse. For those of you guys who are single, I recommend doing meditations on love. I also recommend going to places that are spiritual or religious, because Jupiter's in the 12th. So going to church, going to a meditation class, maybe going to a temple, those kinds of places you could meet someone, or traveling. And then you're going to see on the 31st, Jupiter is going to trine Saturn, which is a nice way to kind of end the month, although it is in water houses. So this basically means that it's building long-lasting change. So whatever decisions you make, either, about your relationships, because Jupiter's relationships are home, whatever decisions you make about what you're closing out, likely it's actually going to stick. And Venus is going to move into her shadow position. So she is now at the end of the month in Libra, which is a good placement. But I would recommend for you Virgos to really pay attention. After the end of the month, I would not be making any really big purchases. Second house could mean you're buying jewelry, you're making a big change with your clothing, maybe you're booking travel plans, maybe it means that you're investing in education. I would be like, no, after the end of the month, no. Because you will see in October and November, Venus will actually retrograde from Scorpio back into the second house. And it tells me that money might be better for you to book this later in the year. If you've been contemplating maybe buying a vehicle or buying a gadget or a computer, I'd be like, let's just wait. Unless you have to, then do it this month. Because there is going to be a major money and communication kind of review period in the next couple of months. So my prediction for Virgo and Virgo risings is that a career reset mid-month, may happen. Like you may see it, but in a good way, just due to the nature of some of the planets that are kind of trining your 10th house and also your 6th. There's also a lot of growing financial and self-worth strength, which I think is really wonderful. There's definitely some reevaluations in partnerships in late August, and right as you come into your most kind of personally clear and healed part of the year, with the sun and Mercury coming into your sign, it's almost like the cosmos are refining you into your most empowered, service-oriented kind of self this month. So definitely follow those details. Be able to give yourself a little bit more downtime too. It's just having like eclipses opposing you, and then having your chart ruler and planets moving through the 12th house. You're going to be a little bit more reflective, and you're going to need a little bit more rest, okay? Healing is the 12th house. So healing the heart space, Leo, or healing things connected to romance or the inner child. And having hobbies or creative things that you can do behind the scenes can also be incredibly helpful. So let's see what the cards say for my Virgo and Virgo risings for the month ahead in August. Not surprised I got the Hangman. That's very 12th house energy, especially like with Jupiter being in your 12th house too, right? Sacrifice, being in limbo. This is about taking a step back and being like, what do? I don't know what to do. And I could see a lot of that coming up for you this month. And it's almost like you're waiting for that Pisces eclipse. Ooh, sorry, toss the card, but it deals with Pisces. It deals with this sense of being like, I am feeling like I'm kind of in a position where I can't make a decision, and I'm waiting on somebody else to get back to me. And that could be a business partner, a spouse, it could be a client, it could be a therapist, and you're like, a lot of this is going to depend on how somebody else responds to things. And yeah, being in suspension. And sometimes that card, it doesn't feel good because you feel stuck, but it's also about getting a different perspective, right? Because it's inverted. So it's like kind of saying, rather than being like, how does this impact me? The 12th house is service and it's sacrifice. So it can mean that you're just like, well, what do I have to give up? But maybe I have to do that to put somebody else first. That may be something that's kind of coming up for you guys this month. And I would say focusing on meditation, spiritual health, mental health, and rest and recuperation is really important. And being by water also can be really helpful. And maybe with Jupiter in the 12th house, some of you guys are open to therapy, or you're going to work with like a hypnotherapist, or you're going to be working with like a healer. May not be a bad idea to do that, or to get a reading this month, just to have a better idea of what's actually going on. And maybe with the eclipses and things in the 12th house, what's blocking you, and how can you best release that? So good luck, Virgo. I hope it's a great month for you guys. I'll catch you guys back here in September. What's up, Libra and Libra rising? Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. I hope you guys are doing well. Excited to be back with you and talk about what is going on for the month ahead. Well, my Libras, get ready for a glow up because Venus is moving into your sign. So I think you guys are going to dig it. Obviously, being ruled by Venus, we're really focusing on where she's moving through in the skies. And she's going to be kicking off the beginning of the month, continuing to move through Virgo in your natal 12th house. So basically, while she's in the 12th house, you're still resting, recuperating, focusing on your kind of renewal period behind the scenes. And then on August the 6th, she will be moving into your sign. Now, Venus loves being in Taurus and Libra. So obviously, this is Venus at full strength. That means that she's directly impacting your identity and just more than beauty, more than charm. More magnetism is also kind of coming in for how you show up in the world. So just know that this is an important period because at the end of the month, Venus is actually going to hit 22 degrees and she is going to be in her pre-retrograde shadow. This means that in October and November of this year, Venus will turn retrograde from Scorpio in your second house of resources into your first house. And I would advise all of my Libra and Libra risings, if you need to make aesthetic changes, if you need to make purchases, if you want to make stuff, changes connecting to your style or anything like that, I recommend doing it this month because you're not going to have clear skies to do that for some time. Obviously, we're going to first start off with the beginning of the month on August 5th, where we're going to see a last quarter moon. And this is going to be where the moon is moving through Taurus, coming into a square with the sun in Leo. This is kind of like a dismantling period. So it's going to be really about releasing old patterns, maybe in intimacy, shared resources, anything connected to vulnerability and what you share with other people. Then we see quite a lively window from the 6th of the 6th of August all the way through the 11th. It's really interesting for you because it's making quite a few aspects to your sun, moon, or rising. This is going to be right when Venus is moving into your first house of self, which is going to be impacting how you look directly, your style and your charm. We're also going to see the sun moving through your 11th house of friends and allies, coming into a trine with Saturn in your 7th house of relationships. So it's helping you strengthen committed partnerships, both romantic and socially. And then you will see Mercury moving into your 11th house. And this is really sparking group and long-term conversations. There is opportunities also to socialize, plan events, connect and collaborate with other people. And you're going to be seeing Mars entering your 10th house of career and reputation. So that's really driving up your career ambition. I'm expecting during this window that there's going to be a personal glow up. There's going to be a lot of support coming from either a partnership or a friendship, and also opportunities for really seeing a lot more activity at work and boosting anything connecting to your networks between like the 10th and the 11th of the month. Now, the big news is on August 12th, we're going to see a new moon solar eclipse in Leo, and that'll be landing in your 11th house of future goals, friends, allies, and network opportunities and long-term dreams. And Leo is friendly for Libra and Libra rising, so it will be sextiling you by sign. This is a new eclipse cycle. It's really laying the groundwork for the next 18 months where there's going to be a pretty dramatic reset when it comes to your community, where you're heading, your future goals. And you'll see during that time period, Mercury in the 11th house is going to sextile Uranus in Gemini, so that's really electrifying your goals. You're also going to see Mercury coming into conjunction with Jupiter, and that's going to be positive communication with your networks, your friends, or your allies. And then you're also going to see that expand your social luck and your confidence. So the only thing you want to watch out for is around the 17th. Mars in Cancer in your 10th house is going to come into a square with Neptune in your 7th of relationships. So it may blur a little bit of your sense of career direction, your relationships, and like it's really important to get a lot of clarity and get specifics before you commit to any one thing. And that could be relationship-wise or professionally. Later in the month, you're going to see the first quarter moon in Scorpio. So the moon will be moving through your second house and it'll come into a square with the sun in your 11th. Basically, this represents for you making advancements when it comes to your finances and your values. On the 22nd, there's going to be a Sun-South node connection in your house of friendships in the 11th, where you're releasing an old group tie or maybe reconnecting with a friend from the past. And then you will see the Sun enter Virgo into your 12th house, and you're getting a real invitation to rest and heal privately. Mercury will follow on the 25th, and with the Sun and Mercury going into your 12th house of healing, trining Chiron, you're healing something about your intimate life, your security, your stability, your resources. And it's really interesting because it can promote a lot of subconscious healing. And I think the Cazimi on the 27th brings some kind of quiet, private insight for you. Now, the full moon, which will be a lunar eclipse taking place in Pisces, is going to be landing in your 6th house, and that'll be around the 28th of the month. And this is really highlighting anything connected to your work, your health, your pets. And I'm expecting a routine or wellness cycle to reach some kind of completion. Now, this is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is going to be in your 11th. So this is a wonderful time to be focusing on, am I reaching my healing goals? Am I reaching my fitness goals? Taking fitness classes, working out with friends, joining a new kind of wellness group or community is really recommended. And it is going to be squaring Uranus in Gemini. So it can mean there's some unexpected travel or kind of schedule plans due to something that's going on with your health or your wellness. Now, on the 31st of the month is basically going to wrap up with Jupiter in Leo in your 11th house of friends, trining Saturn in Aries in your 7th house of relationships. And this is a wonderful kind of aspect. It'll be the first of 3 trines that we're going to see over the next year. Saturn is building real relational foundations, while obviously the Jupiter kind of trine is expanding. So you're getting support from your friends, your platonic relationships, your community, and you're strengthening the bonds there as well. Keep in mind, like I said, Venus is at the end of the month going to be moving into shadow. So it's going to be highlighting where there is a really significant personal review ahead of the retrograde. So if you don't make any headway in some of your physical appearance changes, you're going to be in the midst of kind of doing that basically October and November later, in this year. My prediction for Libra risings is that there is a genuine self-image glow up. Especially I'm excited to see, Venus trine Uranus. I feel like that could be great for travel or anything that's going to be about leaning into a shift in your personal philosophy about yourself or about the world. And Venus trining Pluto is also really great for kind of like regenerative things, looking and feeling a little bit more youthful. Now, watch for new community mid-month, hidden healing and financial growth later in the month, and a partnership that can deepen, kind of quietly in the background. But Libra, I think this month is really polishing your presence, and it's also helping you kind of align with relationships and your dreams. So let's see what the cards have to say for you guys for the month ahead. Card that I got is the Two of Coins, which I'm not surprised. I really feel like this may be part of the nature of the Saturn-Venus opposition, which you're going to see like right around like the 20th, 21st, 22nd. Venus in the first house is going to be very much about what do I love, what do I need, what do I value? And the oppositions to Saturn and also just Mars that's going to be squaring you by sign is trying to find the balance between your career identity, what you're doing out in the world publicly, and also the oppositions to your 7th house, which is going to be relationships and how you show up for other people. It's going to be a balancing act, but I think the key is going to be about you trying to find creative ways to kind of navigate some of this tension, maybe leaning into friendships who can kind of help you provide some kind of support or direction. And also this is about weighing your options, right? So, Two of Coins is like, do I want this or do I want that? Keep in mind that the retrograde Venus shadow that's going to be coming up is about like, do I buy this? Do I not? Do I value this? Do I not? So now is a good time to start really taking a look at your finances and like asking yourself where you can like trim some fat or where you can like maybe budget a little bit better. Because the Pentacles is connected to health, it's connected to finances, it's also connected to work. So there's like a lot of you going, do I want to continue to participate in investing in this thing, whether that's time-wise, financially, or emotionally? So you're going to have to kind of make some of those decisions this month, but I think it's really going to be about not just providing you with better financial security down the road, but a complete sense of feeling more solid, and secure when it comes to your resources as we're kind of getting into the retrograde in the fall. All right, so hopefully that's helpful for you, for my Libras and Libra risings. Definitely leave me comments and let me know, and I'll check back with you guys in September when we start your birthday season. All right, let's see. So we've got my Scorpios and my Scorpio risings. What's up, Scorpio? Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. I hope you guys are doing well. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that's going on this month. We've got eclipses, we've got Mars changing signs, we have got some brief oppositions to Pluto. So there is still some continuing energies that have been really building, really since like the end of July when you saw that full moon in Aquarius. That was really highlighting kind of the tension between what's happening at home and at work. You're still seeing some of that stuff kind of play out. But, I think the depths are kind of calling you home this month, and I think that that's actually a good thing. As you know, Pluto, your modern day ruler, is still retrograde in your 4th house. So this is going to be a several month process of you guys reevaluating where is home, how do I feel, maybe deepening home and family transformations. And that's been kind of unfolding for a while now. And this is not a fast process, but it's a real one. And I think you're rebuilding from the roots. Well, Mars, on the other hand, is going to be changing signs, and you are going to see Mars leave Gemini in your 8th house of joint resources, intimacy, and obviously, like privacy. It's going to be now moving into your 9th house, where it will spend the better part of the next 6 weeks. Now, the 9th house is higher education, travel, anything that's connected to long distances, legal matters, publishing, and teaching. So you will see some energy that's a little flustering around like the 17th or the 18th when Mars and Neptune square. You may feel like there's a bit of a dilemma with scheduling something connected to education or traveling. There can also be some kind of misunderstandings or miscommunications that can be happening at work, or anything that involves like higher education or travel. So you want to watch for that. And then at the end of the month, you're going to start to see Mars building into a square with Saturn. And it's a lot of the same things, although this is requiring you to do kind of like double diligence with organization, communication, scheduling, getting work done before you feel like you can kind of break away and have, a vacation or a trip, or, have time to maybe go and study something. Now, we start the month off with the last quarter moon in Taurus, and this will be on August 5th. That moon is going to fall in your 7th house, and it's going to be coming into a square with the sun in Leo in your 10th house. And so likely this is going to manifest as releasing some kind of an imbalance in a partnership. So just be ready for that. It could be romantic or it could be professional. And then from the 6th through the 11th, there is a real window where you're going to see a lot of momentum that's going to be building. We've got Venus going into Libra in your 12th house, which can be good for behind the scenes romance. It can also be good for spiritual practices, healing the heart space. And it does offer gentle compassion and like a hidden sense of kind of relational beauty in the 12th house. We'll also see Sun and Saturn trine, where the Sun in the 10th house of career is trining Saturn in the 6th house of daily routine. And this means that if you can really focus on discipline at work and also health, you're going to see a lot of headway, and like you're going to feel like you're on top of the world. While Mercury is going to be moving into your 11th house, and you're going to be seeing that putting an emphasis on anything that's kind of connected to maybe, your friendships, your social life, anything that's going to be, connecting to just other people. So that's going to be a huge emphasis as well. Prior to that, Mercury is going to be moving through your 10th house. So it's going to be more career oriented, public speaking, anything connecting to talking to people about, your purpose, maybe what you're changing and transforming about your work, because Mercury is tied to the 8th. This can also be a wonderful time for doing business, negotiations, and like trying to kind of collaborate with people in a group sense. So this is elevating your career voice and also healing a little bit. Mars will enter into your 9th. So this is going to be that shift where you're going to be energizing your beliefs and also your travel plans. And around August 10th or 11th, I'm kind of expecting some career visibility, definitely better work routines, and a real kind of spiritual or emotional kind of depth at home, because there's going to be some oppositions between Mercury and Pluto where you're like, okay, home is changing, but you know, got to focus on the positive side of what's changing at work. Now on August the 12th, we're going to see a solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse in Leo, and that's landing in your 10th house of career. So for all of my fixed signs, you guys are going to be feeling the effects of this either through an opposition, a conjunction, or a square. 10th house energy, Scorpio, is like that of Saturn, like it does square you. So you will definitely, especially if you have anything in Scorpio like 18 to 22 degrees, you're going to be feeling the effects of this particular solar eclipse pretty strongly. And this is a powerful 18-month reset when it comes to your career, your identity, and who you are out in the world. Now, this is where like the eclipses are kind of a little like topsy-turvy, because usually when you have a solar eclipse, it means that we're bringing in some new opportunities. So new jobs, new bosses, new career paths. It could be new launches, but the South Node is there. So it can also represent that it's like a much bigger change that you did not see coming, or maybe you're going back to an old job or you're going back to an old schedule. That can kind of happen. I do like that, you know, there is going to be Mercury sextile Uranus at the time. So that is going to be good for adding a little bit of innovation and like professional sparks. Mercury is going to conjunct Jupiter on the 15th. And then you're going to have Venus that's also going to be sextiling at the same time around the 17th. So this tells me it's going to expand your reputation and bring unexpected blessings from behind the scenes. Just watch for Mars square Neptune the same day, where I have a feeling like your vision or your beliefs is a little clouded, and you have to ground your beliefs in something more concrete before you act on them. At the end of the month, you're going to see the first quarter moon in Scorpio. So the moon is in your first house. It's squaring the sun in your 10th. And in your own sign, it's about empowering your professional identity directly. Now, the sun will come into conjunction with the South Node on the 22nd, releasing old career patterns right around the time that the sun enters Virgo in your 11th house, putting an emphasis on your, your friends, your groups, your community, and also your aspirations for the future. Mercury will follow on the 25th, and you will see these planets are going to be trining Chiron in your 7th house, and there's going to be a cazimi. So it's kind of like healing connections, healing networks, healing friendship relationships. And then there is going to be a cazimi on the 27th, where there's going to be some kind of epiphany or realization about your friends or your communities. The full moon lunar eclipse will be in Pisces, and this will be happening in your natal 5th house. And obviously, if you have anything around 3, 4, 5 degrees of Scorpio, sun, moon, or rising, this will be trining you. This will also be trining Mars, your chart ruler. So I like this eclipse for you, even though I know it can be a little bit unsettling with the square to Uranus. To me, it feels like a lot of Scorpios are going to have some kind of fulfillment revolving around their hobbies, their children, creativity, romance. And this is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is at the top part of your chart. So what could this materialize as? Launching your own business, right? Sharing some of your creative projects, or ideas or concepts with the world. Some big announcement connected to your love life, a change to your status, maybe an announcement about children or pregnancy that can be connected here. And I think that anything connecting to your personal romance, joys, and creativity, and publishing, traveling, or anything that's connected to long distance travel could definitely come up with the eclipse as well. And I think for a lot of you guys, it's going to be a pretty good eclipse. I think you guys are going to be liking it, because it highlights the area of your chart that is joyful, it's emotional, it's some kind of like culmination here. On the 31st of the month, we are going to see Jupiter trine Saturn. So Jupiter in Leo in your 10th house of career will trine Saturn in your 6th house. Wonderful trine. This is the first of what will be 3 over the next year, where Saturn is building consistency with your routine and your habits, and it has that foundation kind of unlock, while Jupiter is expanding your professional life, your reputation, and also helping you make more money. So all of the hard work and determination that you've been putting into your health habits, your job, is now finally going to start to get the recognition that it deserves. At the end of the month, Venus will start its retrograde cycle. I do think this is very important for you, Scorpio, even though you're not ruled by Venus. Venus will actually start its retrograde in October, and it's going to turn retrograde from Scorpio. I think it's going to be around like 8 or 9 degrees, and it's going to retrograde back into Libra. So Venus is connected to what's hidden, what's subconscious, rest and recuperation. 7th house could be clients, it could be romantic partners, it could be marriage, it could be anything connected to commitment. So a lot of your physical appearance may change in the fall. A lot of your relationships may change. A lot of your need for privacy and for healing may be coming up. And I think that I would just kind of be watching for that. That's going to be starting to kind of happen at the end of the month. You and Libra, okay, and maybe Taurus are the signs that I would say need to pay attention the most, especially you in Libra, because it's going to be impacting your appearance. So if you're thinking about making any major physical or cosmetic changes or changes to your style, I highly recommend doing it before the end of the month. Otherwise, you're going to need to wait until later in November when you have better astrology. But my prediction for this month for you is that I can definitely see a pretty significant career reset mid-month. Deeper home and family transformation, a creative or romantic evolution later in the month that closes an old chapter, most likely for the better. And I think, Scorpio, you're kind of emerging stronger and wiser and more aligned than ever before. And I really feel like this is where you get to come out on top with all of these energies that are moving through your 10th house. So I'm excited to see what happens. Let's take a look at your cards and see what the predictions are from the tarot and what you need to know for the month of August. Like I said, you're going to be on top. This is the Sun card. I was waiting for somebody to get it because I was like, somebody's going to get this. It's going to represent finally a breakthrough and like everything starting to kind of come together. And I'll let you in on a little secret, and this is something that I'm kind of saving more for my eclipse videos and my webinars and stuff, but the degree that we have the eclipse at, 20 degrees, is the exact same degree which Mars will start its retrograde shadow through. So this is an eclipse that has legs. So you're going to actually see it's going to be pretty much in play all the way at least until about, April of next year. So that tells me, with Mars being your chart ruler, there is a lot of reworking something about your career or reworking something about your status. I know you've had, Mercury retrogrades, Venus retrogrades, Mars retrogrades through here in recent years. And now finally you've got the South Node eclipses in Jupiter. So, there are big changes that are coming. Jupiter is connected to joy, and I feel like so is the Sun card, because it's about finally feeling like you can make some big announcement, or there is some positive kind of things that are coming through, and like you're making some headway, and it's reason to celebrate. And it's kind of like the clouds part and then the sun comes out. So if you've been waiting for a lucky break, I think in your professional life, I do believe that it's coming, but I'm going to tell you it's a process. So pace yourself and definitely make sure that you catch some of the other videos that I'm going to do specifically on the eclipses and also on the Mars retrograde, because it's going to be really important for you guys to hear. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. I'll let you guys go, and I'll see you next month in September. What's up, Sag and Sag rising? Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're thriving. Very excited to talk to you about what's going on for the month ahead. Obviously, Sag, you're ruled by Jupiter, and we are going to be seeing some Jupiter conjunctions, some Jupiter trines. Finally, I feel like my Sag risings are kind of coming out from what has been a really, kind of turbulent last couple of years. This is when, the skies kind of start to part and the sun comes out. Now, this is a month that's all about your big vision, and I think by August 31st, that vision is getting some real structure behind it. Now, Jupiter is sitting in your 9th house now, and it'll be here for the better part of the next year. So you just recently got out of like the Jupiter-Pluto opposition, which has really been testing your mindset, how you communicate, how you, go back and forth with your beliefs with other people. Maybe there's been some tension with legal matters, travel, or, contracts. But now I think it's fueling a lot more of your natural optimism and hunger to learn. And what you're going to see is at the end of the month, Jupiter in your 9th house of education, law, traveling, and learning will come into a trine with Saturn in Aries. And so it's going to be like this sense of long-term reward, long-term happiness, long-term creativity, long-term things connecting to romance, to children. And you're going to feel like, okay, the work is finally kind of paying off. So you're going to like that right at the end of the month. You will also see that there will be some sextiles to Jupiter and some conjunctions to Jupiter. And those are going to be pretty prominent for you as well. Especially with like the Mercury-Jupiter conjunction, it's definitely a highlighted period where you could meet somebody. So if you're single, it could be good timing for meeting somebody while you're continuing education, traveling, or learning. Or some of you guys might be discussing getting married, getting engaged, some kind of graduation, and definitely a lot of opportunities to socialize with others as well. So honestly, pretty good stuff happening for you guys this month. Now, the month is going to kick off on August 5th when you see the moon moving through Taurus right here. And this is going to be the last quarter square where the Taurus moon is going to square the sun. And this basically means that it's time to release a work or health habit that you have kind of like outgrown. And then on the 6th through the 11th, this is a window that is very rich for you guys. You're going to see a lot of transits that are going to happen all at one time. Venus is going to have moved into your 11th house, which is bringing harmonious friendships and group pleasure. Then you're going to see the sun in your 9th house trining Saturn in your 5th. And this is a wonderful time, I think, for creative self-discipline, taking classes connecting to creativity, children, and travel. And then you will see Mercury is going to move into your 9th house, which is expanding your communication with a healing, transformative, intuitive, and kind of like some innovative layers all at once, because Mercury is going to have to oppose Pluto. So it does tell me there could be some conversations with people that are a little uncomfortable but necessary. Then Mars will be moving into your 8th house. And this is a house that Mars does well in, even though, Mars is not great in Cancer. It's kind of moody. This, for the next 6 weeks, will be energizing intimacy, shared resources. And I'm kind of seeing like around like August 10th and 11th, I would expect some strong networking, a genuine expansion of your beliefs, and some real intimate kind of like empowerment. 9th house is great because it's also going to be trining you. So a lot of my Sagittariuses are going to experience grand fire trines this month. While Mars going through the 8th house is definitely dealing with like inheritance issues, tax issues, joint financial issues, tackling debt, that kind of stuff is going to be important. And then on August 12th, there will be a new moon solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse in the sign of Leo in your natal 9th house. This is seeding 18 months of growth in philosophy, travel, your worldview, and this is like big picture Sagittarius, kind of energy that's activated. So it's very friendly for you. Jupiter will be nearby, and this will be around 20 degrees. So if you have anything 18 to 22 degrees of Sag, sun, moon, or rising, it's going to trine you, and I think you're going to dig it. I could see for some of you guys the solar eclipse represents, oh, I'm going back to school, or I'm going back to reading my book, or I'm returning back to a place that I have kind of visited or traveled to before. I'm at an airport, or I'm going to college, that kind of stuff. And it does touch on legal matters as well. And what you guys are going to find is around the time of the eclipse, Mercury in your 9th house is going to sextile Uranus, and it's electrifying your ideas and your relationships. You're also going to have, Mercury that is going to be conjunct Jupiter on the 15th, and Venus that is going to be sextiling Jupiter on the 17th. So this is bringing real luck to learning, to group settings, to meeting people, all that stuff. And then you're going to see on the same day, on the 17th, Mars is going to be squaring Neptune. The one thing I would say with that square is there may be like a boundary that's kind of blurred around intimacy. So it's really important to get clear without kind of like making any assumptions. Now later in the month, you're going to see a first quarter moon in Scorpio, where the moon is going to be in your 12th house, squaring the sun in the 9th. And this is like going to bring up hidden healing through your 12th house. And it's like trying to push that, into your awareness. And then on or around the 22nd, the sun is going to be conjunct the south node, where you're releasing an outdated belief. And then right as the sun enters Virgo, it's moving into your 10th house, activating your career and your reputation. Mercury is to follow on the 25th, and you will see both the Sun and Mercury will be trining Chiron in your 6th. So this is healing, professional healing, healing at work. And then you'll see on the 27th, there is going to be a Cazimi where there could be some real, public insight in regards to your career, some big announcement in regards to your career. I think it's going to be some of you guys are like, I'm going back to school, or I'm traveling, I'm taking time off of work. Followed by the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces on the 28th. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the last of the Pisces eclipses. I know those have not been entirely too easy for Sag and Sag risings. This one's going to be a bit of a curveball. It's sweet and it's salty. When you have a full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces in your 4th house, it is going to be squaring you by sign. So you're going to see the sun that's going to be in your 10th house of career opposing the moon in your 4th house of home, where you feel like you're pulled between who you are out in the world versus at home. It will square Uranus in your 7th house, which means that there could be some emotional closings and completions on the home front, which impacts relationships. And you are the missing piece of that particular square. So it will create for Sages a grand mutable cross, especially if you're like the first 10 degrees of Sag, Sun, Moon, or Rising. What I would expect is emotional, conclusions or culminations on the home front. Jupiter is the ruler and it's in the 9th. So it means that there may be some legal situations connected to home or family. You may have to be traveling to go and connect with home and family, or vice versa. And there may be some legal matters kind of connected to property that might be popping up. Now, on the 31st, you're going to see Jupiter in the 9th house coming into a trine with Saturn. And this is rewarding your expansion, I think, with real structure. And then Venus is going to go into her shadow in your friendship zone, where she's going to prepare for what will be in October, November, Venus retrograde from the 12th into the 11th, where I think a lot of you guys are going to be reviewing who are my friends, who are my goals, am I socializing enough? Am I having a change with, some of my allies? So I'm predicting for you guys, philosophical or travel related new beginnings this month, real career growth, and home and family realignment later in the month, like moving, buying or selling, or changes with parents. August is definitely, I think, deepening your wisdom rather than kind of shaking it. In Sag, it's very obvious to me that like the, cosmos are expanding your horizons, but also simultaneously trying to get you to anchor your foundation. So yes, adventure awaits, but I think the Pisces eclipse is still going to be calling you back home. So let's take a look and let's see what the cards are for you for the month ahead. What do you need to be aware of? And what is the advice of the tarot? All right, so you get the Knight of Swords. So I would be keeping an eye out for Libras, Aquariuses, Geminis. These are usually air signs, or this could represent travel or messages that are coming in swiftly. If you have to publish something, if you have to sign a contract, if there is going to be an important document, if there is an important meeting, conversation, legal matter, like those are what's kind of getting highlighted for you this month. Like I would pay attention to all of those things. I think news will come very quickly. It is possible because the knight is sitting on its horse and it has to ride that you're like, I just have to go. I have to go there really quickly. I have to go take care of something and come back. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that the only real tension, I guess I would say, is that, there is still some back and forth that's going to be happening when planets come into Virgo and they start squaring Uranus. Like Virgo season, the squares to Uranus means that there's going to be some pretty dramatic switch ups or change ups in who you're aligning yourself with, who you're dating, who you're married to. It could even mean that there's some change going on with clients and you're making some big announcement either about your status or about the future of your career and your professional life. So try to roll with those punches, and I would really advise you to lean into some of the Mercury, Jupiter positivity and optimism, learn how to work as a team, try to be focusing more on what makes sense, logically rather than reacting emotionally. And this is about focusing on a plan and executing it and getting from point A to point B. It's a lot of air and fire in the skies. There's not really a lot of water other than Mars and Cancer. So it's going to help you kind of get straight to the point of things and hopefully be able to make some time for travel or for something that's going to broaden your horizons. Sag, let me know what happens. I'm very curious, and I'll follow up with you guys next month in September. Capricorn and Capricorn rising. How you guys doing? Welcome back. This is going to be your horoscopes for the month of August 2026. Excited to chat with you guys about what's going on this month. What you need to know right off the bat is, Saturn is retrograde and it is going to continue to be retrograde for some time. So, this month is a month of quiet, kind of deep-rooted work. It's definitely paying off more than you realize, even though things feel quiet. I think you're going to see like a lot of really positive emotional and home and financial change. Now, with Saturn retrograde in your fourth house, it means that you're deepening and really kind of focusing on a review of work on your home, on your family, on your emotional roots. And this is a slow kind of cooked process. It's not a quick fix. And that's exactly why I think you're really kind of building strength this month. The highlight of the month for you, I would have to say, is probably going to be right at the end of August when you see Jupiter in your 8th house of shared resources. Jupiter is about unexpected blessings, things that are hidden. 8th house is other people's money. We'll begin trining Saturn, and this will be the first of what will be 3 trines over the next year. So by the end of the month, somebody else's money or some kind of transformation in intimacy or banking or loans or inheritance is starting to pave the way for some of the bigger changes that you would like to see on the home front. Now, we begin the month on the 5th of August, where we're going to see the last quarter moon in Taurus, and the moon will be moving through your 5th house, coming into a square with the sun in Leo in your 8th. This basically means that, you're releasing a creative or romantic pattern that has kind of run its course. Then on the 6th through the 11th, there is a window that is supporting you quite strongly. There's a cluster of a bunch of transits happening at the same time. Venus will move into diplomatic Libra, which means that you're going to have a lot more visibility and charm and public harmony in your career. You're going to see the sun in your 8th house coming into a trine with Saturn, your ruler, in the 4th house, which strengthens your home, your foundation, and your joint finances. Mercury will then move into your 8th house, and that's going to be deepening transformative communication, opportunities to look into lending, and lots of like innovation in there. And then Mars will be moving into Cancer in your opposite sign of your 7th house, bringing a lot of action in your relationships. Now, I think around the 10th and the 11th, I'm expecting a lot more career visibility for you guys, just due to the nature of like Venus trine Uranus, Venus trine Pluto, which could be good for transforming your routine and your finances. I also think there's going to be better home stability with the sun trine Saturn and real relational drive. Now, on August 12th, we're going to see the first of what will be a series of eclipses now in Leo and Aquarius. And this is going to be a total solar eclipse that lands in your 8th house of intimacy, shared resources, other people's money, psychological matters, kind of like karmic entanglement. So it's a very powerful 18-month reset here. During or around the time of the eclipse, you're going to see Mercury in Leo sextiling Uranus, which adds a little bit of like innovation with your work, your health, and your finances. And Mercury will conjunct Jupiter on the 15th, which could be good money news, and you will also see Venus sextile Jupiter on the 17th, which expand both emotional depth and also your career blessings. What you want to watch out for is Mars in Cancer coming into a square with Neptune in Aries, and that day on the 17th, it might blur partnership intuition, or maybe there's something confusing about your living situation and also your relationships. And I would say you have to clarify before you make any assumptions, and also watch for some hidden kind of tension that's lingering with relationships and also potentially with family. Now, late in the month, we're going to see around the 19th, the first quarter square in Scorpio. So we'll see the moon in Scorpio squaring the sun in Leo. And this is advancements that are going to take place in regards to your groups, your goals, and your social life. The sun will come into conjunction with the south node in Leo on the 22nd, and that's releasing an old intimacy pattern right as the sun and Mercury are entering Virgo in your 9th house. And this is activating beliefs in travel and education. Mercury will, with the sun, trine Chiron in Taurus, especially if you're an early degree Capricorn or Capricorn rising. There's a grand earth trine, and it means that, it's bringing opportunities for self-help, self-healing, philosophical healing, traveling and healing. And then a Cazimi on the 27th, you know, kind of blows everything open and you have a completely different shift in your mindset or change to travel or educational plans. Followed by the full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces, and this will be taking place on the 28th, and this will be in your 3rd house. Now, this is a house of communication. It deals with cars, it deals with siblings, and I would expect a sudden and meaningful conversation to take place where you have the moon here opposing the sun here, and it's going to be squaring Uranus here. So there's going to be a conversation you have to have about a change in your schedule or a shift in your health or your mindset. It is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in your 8th. So I could definitely see some unexpected expenses connecting to travel, maybe gadgets, or needing to like really clarify some details in a contract, especially if it's work related, to make sure that you know, everything is going to be covered or that you're going to get your needs met. And on the 31st is when you're going to see Jupiter in Leo in your 8th house of joint resources, trine Saturn in your 4th. And this directly rewards your home structure and your commitment to your home and family. Just keep an eye out for Venus's shadow, where she is going to start also at the end of the month, where you're going to start to see some of the upcoming reflections and reassessments of your professional goals and your reputation. If you need to launch a business, start a business, take a new job, any of those things, I recommend doing it this month if you can, because I feel like it's going to be a little difficult to do that in October and November. And Venus is also going to be connected to self-employment, creativity, children. So if there's anything in that department you want to make announcements about, I recommend doing it before the end of the month. Now, my prediction for my Capricorn and Capricorn risings for August is that deep financial or intimate new chapters are going to start beginning in mid-month. Whether you have a partner that gets a bonus, or you have an inheritance, or suddenly a loan is approved, you know, that's kind of like the 8th house stuff. But that's all strengthening your home foundations, and a real belief and network growth is going to start to kind of develop in late August. But Capricorn, I think that you're really laying the enduring foundations while going through some really big transformations with Jupiter in the eclipse in your 8th house. So slow and steady wins the race. Try to keep an eye out for, at the end of the month also, Mars will start coming into a square with Saturn with some building tensions in your relationships. But likely, you know, with Mars going through the 7th house, this is a good time to be work on one-on-one with other people, be maybe getting a reading, working with a therapist, working out with a partner, to try to kind of temper some of like the moodiness that can kind of come up with the Mars in Cancer transit. All right. So let's see what the cards have to say for you guys. What does Capricorn and Capricorn rising need to know for the month of August? What insight can we give them? Okay, somebody else got this too. 6 of coins, balance, give and take. I'm going to say this is very much tied to the Mars transit. Okay, it's also very much tied to the Jupiter transit, because the 7th house is like Libra scales. It's like, okay, what is my stuff? What is your stuff? What do I do together versus like, you know, what do I cut off or what do I confront? But I also think this is connected to the 8th house, where now you're having, you know, south node eclipses and Jupiter is there. And if there is something being removed, it can feel like a very big something being removed. So if you're used to getting child support, you know, some kind of support from your parents, maybe you're used to having, you know, a insane credit limit, or maybe you've been getting like paid out for something. When the eclipse comes in with Jupiter, there can be a sense of like really noticing where that table kind of getting kicked out from underneath you is like, whoa, I'm not used to having that support. By the same token, the 6 of coins represents, you know, you get what you pay for, you get what you give. This is a month that's trying to find balance in all areas of your life. I would say especially in relationships and also in joint resources. And if you are willing to do the necessary work, I would say especially, you know, with relationships and also with your home or your living situation, you can actually lean into change, and it can be a positive thing. You will see with like eclipses and retrogrades and things that are going to go through your 8th house, a lot of you guys are trying to tackle debt, or a lot of you guys are debating whether or not you're going to, you know, tap into savings or tap into retirement, or if you're going to be going through some changes in how you're feeling financially supported from a partner. So I would start having these conversations early and basically being like, you know, what can we do to get ahead of this? Or what do we need to do to better plan? Or, You know, if you know that there's going to be some financial changes, you start kind of preparing for that and either talking to your partner or talking to a financial advisor to better navigate that over the next couple of months. But hopefully that's helpful for you, Capricorn and Capricorn rising. Definitely let me know what happens, and I'll catch you guys back here in September. All right, so we have got my Aquarius and Aquarius risings. What's up, Aquarius? Welcome to your August horoscopes. I hope you guys are doing well. Obviously, for my Aquarius risings, this is a month of, I think, radical authenticity in relationships and also with yourself. Now, Uranus is your modern day ruler. Obviously, it's direct right now. It's continuing to move through your 5th house of pleasure, creativity, romance, and joy, while Pluto is continuing its retrograde in your 1st house of self. And, you know, these two have been in a trine recently in this last month. So there's a lot of dramatic transformation of how you express yourself, how you create, what makes you happy, and quietly kind of rebirthing who you are from the inside out. Saturn, your traditional ruler, is also retrograde. And one thing I will say is you've got some support where, you know, Venus will trine Uranus and Venus will trine Pluto. So traveling or education looks like it's on the horizon in the next month. And from the perspective of Saturn, at the end of the month, you're going to see Jupiter that is going to be trining Saturn, where a lot of relationship, harmony, communication, and support can help you reevaluate, reassess, or better understand something about yourself. Now, the month kicks off with the last quarter moon on August 5th, where you're going to have the moon going through the sign of Taurus, and it's going to be squaring your sun in your 7th house of relationships. And this basically means that you're releasing old patterns at home, and you need to communicate or kind of collaborate and do that with another person. So the home changes might impact relationships in some way. Then from August 6th through the 11th, there is a very strong window of a lot of transits that are going to happen all at the same time. We've got Venus going into your 9th house, which is bringing kind of harmony to your beliefs and your travel through your 9th. So traveling, booking trips, taking classes is good. And then we're going to see the sun trining Saturn. So the sun in your 7th house of relationships trining Saturn in your 3rd. Is very supportive when it comes to activating partnership conversations. And you're going to see Mercury is going to be moving into your 7th house. And that's going to be activating anything kind of connected to clients, work relationships, romantic relationships, you know, talking to a partner. Mercury does rule romance. So your communication with romantic partners or children is very likely. And you'll see Mars enter into Cancer in your 6th house, emphasizing and energizing really your work and your health habits. Now, I think around August 10th through the 11th, I'm expecting real partnership insight, creative innovations, and daily life improvement. Now, on the 12th of the month, we're going to see a total solar eclipse in the sign of Leo, your opposite sign, your 7th house of partnerships. If you have anything 18 through 22 degrees of Aquarius, sun, moon, or rising, this will oppose you. So it's less about you, it's more about other people. 7th house could be your marketplace, your spouses, your business partners, your clients, a therapist even, an astrologer. And this is interesting because the solar eclipse means there's something new, but it is going to be a south node eclipse. So it's like we have to kind of reevaluate our relationship with the past. This will be an 18-month reset of your one-on-one relationships. Now, at the time of the eclipse, you're going to see Mercury will be sextiling Uranus, your modern-day ruler, in the 5th. So it could be really good news for romance and creative collaborations. You're also going to see this electrifies your connections, while Mercury is conjunct Jupiter in your 7th house. And Venus is going to be sextiling Jupiter as well in your 9th. So this is expanding relational luck significantly, travel with relationships, positive things connecting to business deals, legal matters, and publishing. The only thing you want to watch out for is on the 17th, Mars in your 6th house is going to square Neptune. And I feel like this is going to create some confusion about your work intuition. You might double book something, you might overlook something about your schedule, and you need to get clear on your routines or on your work schedule before you commit to anything new. Now, at the end of the month, you're going to see on the 19th, there is a 1st quarter square in Scorpio where the moon's going to go through Scorpio. It's going to square the sun. This is advancing your career. While the sun conjuncts the south node in your 7th house, you're releasing an old partnership pattern. right as the sun and Mercury are getting ready to go into Virgo in your 8th house. And that's going to really be lighting up anything connecting to intimacy, debt, loans, psychological matters, and shared resources. Mercury will follow on the 26th. These two planets, the sun and Mercury, will come into a trine with Chiron and Taurus in your 4th house, offering deep healing on a family level, while the Mercury Cazimi on the 27th will provide some kind of insight into shared resources between you and a partner in some way. So there's going to be a conversation about intimacy or about money. The full moon lunar eclipse will be the 2nd lunation this month, and that'll take place on the 28th, and it's going to land in your 2nd house of money and resources. So this is going to be a final eclipse in Pisces, which is very financially related, house of values, and I'm expecting a sudden but useful kind of money realignment. Now, when the full moon comes in, it's ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is in the 7th house. So others are going to be more willing to be generous with you, to give to you. They might give you gifts. They might be willing to give you money. Maybe they're investing in something that you're building because Jupiter is the ruler. However, this is a lunar eclipse that puts the sun in your 8th house of joint money, moon in the 2nd house of your money, and it's squaring Uranus. So it tells me that like there can be like a big risk, big reward. Maybe it means that, there is an investment that's going on that's connected somehow to a creative endeavor. And Uranus in the 5th house, there's no guarantee. So it could be you're, investing in the stock market, you're investing in a side hustle or a creative hobby. But you will see this be something pretty significant financially with the eclipse in the 2nd house. Watch for complex conversations between what is yours and what is someone else's, be that a romantic partner, a business partner, or talking about money and children and how that kind of relates. Then finally on the 31st, you'll see Jupiter in your house of relationships, trining Saturn in your 3rd house of your mind. And this rewards your communication structure if you are doing your due diligence to communicate, to listen, to be patient, and to try to be diplomatic and balanced with other people. I think it's going to also be just wonderful for contracts and negotiations and business. Anything where you're working on media or podcast or anything connecting to writing, right? Like I think other people are going to be real interested in what you have to say. While Venus at the end of the month is going to start her pre-retrograde shadow, and this is previewing some of the changes that's going to happen with your beliefs and your career later in the year. My advice is that if you have to publish something, if you have to apply for college, if you have to start something legal, if you have to book a trip, do any of these things before the end of the month, because we're not going to have good timing for that really until closer to mid-November of this year. The other thing I'll tell you is that Venus retrograde is going to be quite difficult for the fixed signs, because when it goes into your 10th house of career, it's going to square Pluto of the house of self, and it's going to square Mars in the house of other people. And there could be definitely some dilemmas about your career or your business partnerships. So it's important to get all of this stuff in writing and fully fleshed out and kind of understood this month if you can. And my prediction for Aquarius risings is a real partnership evolution is going to happen mid-month. Solar eclipses can mean that there is some major change in an existing relationship and somebody is outed, but it can also mean that it's bringing in somebody new. So if you're single, keep your eyes out, because it can be a time where you're getting ready to meet someone. There can also be big changes in the lives of your partnerships that you're currently in. I'm also looking at a financial kind of realignment and intimate healing later in the month. There is this growing sense of who you are actually underneath it all that's starting to kind of become unveiled. And I think obviously, with some of the trines to Uranus and also Pluto in your sign, authenticity is so important. And I think you're going to see that a lot of things are kind of unfolding for you and feeling a little bit more liberating as the month kind of goes on. So hopefully that's helpful for you, my Aquarius risings. Certainly really interesting to see these eclipses. I think a lot of Aquariuses are going to tell me that they're reconnecting with old partners, creative collaborations, partners, things like that. So you guys will have to let me know what happens, but let's ask the tarot what the prediction is for you for the month ahead. The card that I got for you is the 5 of Cups. Not the easiest card. I call this the crying over spilled milk card. And that can be, I think, maybe due to the nature of, you're going to see some South Node eclipses in the 7th house where it's Some people are going to be like, I got to go. I can't stay here. I'm not going to be available. And it doesn't mean there has to be a dramatic ending or a breakup, because Jupiter is saying, well, the change in those relationships is happening for good reason. And I think that if you can communicate clearly, you can kind of see your way through any changing, relationship situation. But what I have an issue with the Four of Cups is that it's basically saying, like, if you stay in that where you're like, well, it's not going to be the same, or it's not going to be the same dynamic. Maybe you're having a change in people you're working with. Maybe you're having a change with your therapist. Maybe your partner's going through changes and it's kind of impacting the way that you relate to each other. Don't get stuck there. Don't focus on what is being removed. Focus on the positive side of Jupiter being there, which is saying, like, actually, you still have that relationship in some capacity. It's just going to be in a different way, and not be feeling down or kind of blue or kind of slighted because of this. I also feel like I would be super focused with Mars going through my 6th house on just paying attention to my health. So this could be your emotional health as Mars goes through Cancer, especially when it's squaring Neptune kind of mid-month or Saturn towards the end of the month. You might kind of realize that you're just feeling a little blue. So try to focus more on having a balance in your routine, healthy balance in relationships, and not feeling like you have to be too attached to them. And also kind of broadening your horizons with either taking a class or traveling or something this month, because this could really help you kind of break out of some of the heaviness of just the daily grind with work, and also the changes that your partners are going to be going through. Hopefully this is helpful for you Aquarius and Aquarius risings. Definitely let me know, and I will catch you guys back here in September. What's up, Pisces and Pisces risings? Welcome to your August 2026 horoscopes. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're ready, because you've got an eclipse in your sign, the last one, and this one is a doozy. All right, guys. Well, this month, obviously, it feels like it's a little slow, but I feel like it's all about a compassionate rebuild for what you believe you're worth. We are going to be seeing Neptune is continuing its retrograde, obviously in your 2nd house, and that is your modern day ruler. This means you're reevaluating, what do I value? How much money do I have? What am I holding on to? What do I believe in? And especially with yourself. While Jupiter, your traditional ruler, is moving through your 6th house, where you're like focusing on health, maybe new jobs, huge emphasis on being of service. Also possibly feeling like, there's an emphasis on pets, or just bringing joy more into kind of like your daily routines. I think the highlight of the month is going to be the fact that Jupiter and Saturn are going to trine. So there's something that's really kind of aligning with your money as well as your productivity at the end of the month. And obviously, the lunar eclipse that's going to be in your sign, which is definitely going to shake a lot of things up, especially as it's connected to your relationships and your home or your living situation, but we'll get to that. All right, so for you guys, we're going to start off with the last quarter moon in Taurus, which will be on August the 5th. This is going to fall in your 3rd house, where you're going to have the moon squaring the sun in your 6th house in Leo. This tells me that you're releasing old communication patterns, or maybe there's kind of changes that's going to be happening with your schedule or at work. And then the 6th through the 11th is a window that's going to bring a lot of depth. We're going to see a lot of transits happening at the same time. Biggies are going to be Venus going into Libra, where it's going to go into your 8th house of, intimacy and shared resources in your 8th. You're going to see the sun in your 6th house of health and habits, trine Saturn in your 2nd house, which is supporting discipline around your values, your work, and your money. While Mercury moves into your 6th house, sharpening work communication with healing and like some innovative layers. Mars will be entering into Cancer in your 5th house. And this is really energizing creativity, romance. Obviously, Mars is what you put money into, so you're more willing to take creative risks. You're more focused on dating. There could be more expenses revolving around children. Maybe you're going to be spending money on classes or courses or anything that's connected to education, because it's picking up the energy of your 9th. And you're going to be seeing... around the 10th through the 11th, there's going to be opportunities for healing intimate matters, smoothing out your schedule, and feeling like work is starting to kind of get into a groove, and a real creative kind of passion that's going to start to kind of peep up. Now on the 12th, you're going to see a solar eclipse, new moon, total solar eclipse in Leo in your 6th house. And this is going to be an 18-month reset here where it's all going to be about work. It's going to be about health. It's going to be about service. And for a lot of you guys, it's going to be interesting. It could mean that you're starting a new job, or you're changing offices, or maybe you're cleaning out your office, or maybe you're getting a new pet. And you're going to see with this eclipse, it's going to be trining Saturn. So it can also mean that you're focusing on health and also making changes to your diet or work and managing your budget. And you'll see Mercury sextile Uranus, where Mercury is going to be in your 6th house and it's sextiling Uranus in your 4th. So there could be innovations in your schedule and also your living situation and your daily routines, while Mercury will conjunct Jupiter on the 15th, which is very good news for you health-wise and also relationship-wise and also job-wise. And then you will see on the 17th, Venus will sextile Jupiter, and that expands your daily luck and your intimacy. While the only thing you need to watch for is on the 17th, Mars in Cancer will square Neptune. And that means that, you know, anything that touches your 2nd or your 5th houses directly feels blurry. So you have to give yourself a little grace and clarify rather than just pushing for certainty. So this could mean if you're going to make an investment, if you're going to start a new hobby, if you're dating, you need to really definitively, I guess, like know your worth, and you need to know what you're getting paid or what your fees or what you're going to be charging if you're starting a new job or you're offering a new service, and you're kind of like, what is this worth? All right, then on the 19th, you're going to see the first quarter moon in Scorpio, where the moon's going to be in Scorpio, squaring the sun in Leo, and this is advancing your beliefs or travel in some way. The sun will conjunct the south node in your 6th house, where you're releasing an old pattern of overdoing it or being, too much of service or self-sacrificing yourself. Maybe it's a bad habit. Right as the sun is entering into your 7th house of relationships, activating partnerships for the next several weeks. Mercury will follow on the 25th. And what you're going to see is Mercury and the sun are going to be trining Chiron. So this is opening the door to relational healing, either with a relationship, a sibling, or with a neighbor. Apology letters, phone calls, trying to make up with people is kind of expected there. And you're going to see a Cazimi on the 27th. That's going to bring some real insight, either about a romantic relationship or maybe you're relaying some kind of health or work news to a partner. But you might be shocked or surprised by their response in some way. Could also mean that you meet somebody somehow through changing your job or through your routine. So like if you're going to the gym or if you're getting involved in some new kind of work or business, you might meet somebody that way. And then you're going to see the full moon, and this will be the lunar eclipse in Pisces, is going to land directly in your sign, and that'll be around 4 degrees. So if you have anything, I would say 2 to 6 degrees of Pisces sun, moon, or rising, the moon will be in your 1st house opposing the sun. So it always highlights your emotions compared to what's changing in your relationships, and it squares Uranus. So likely it's going to bring up some family tension or where relationships are changing and evolving and you're focusing more on yourself and your own emotional needs rather than that of a partner, and it's highlighting that. And you may feel like there's a little bit of tension or a standoff going on in a home situation with a partner or with family, okay? And you may feel prompted to be like, I need out of the house, or I'm, changing something. A full moon in your sign also is really highlighting, like for some of you guys, wearing your emotions on your sleeve, or 6 months of a lot of personal changes in your appearance or in your body. So you can see that pregnancy is also possible for a lot of you guys, because it is going to obviously be on your ascendant, and it will be trining Mars in your 5th house of children. It will be ruled by Jupiter, which will be in your 6th. So it does kind of protect your health. It just makes me feel like whatever new job or what new health or new routines you're starting, you feel a little frazzled, but I really feel like it's actually going to be quite good for you guys in the long term. And just watch for sudden self shifts because of that square to Uranus. Then on the 31st, you'll see Jupiter trine Saturn, and this is really rewarding your conservative side of your finances. If you've been saving, if you've been a little bit more cautious with spending, then it's going to give you a little bit more room to do things, and also it's going to give you a little bit more cushion with your spending and also your schedule. And you're going to find that Venus, starting the shadow at the end of the month, is starting in your 8th house. So in October and November, Venus is going to retrograde from your 9th into your 8th. My recommendation for you guys would be, you know, if you have to book any travel for the fall, do it this month, because it may be harder to get refunds or deal with like, you know, exchanges or getting paid back for things. Try to lean on like using your credit rewards for travel, so you're not having to spend as much money. And also, if you have to make any big decisions about legal matters, publishing, or education, this would be a good month to do it before the Venus retrograde happens in October and November. Also, anything connecting to buying cars. If you can't afford it, you need to wait. And this is also about reviewing any contracts that are any financial contracts, trying to get it signed this month. Now, my prediction for you guys is you're going to see a work or a health related new beginning mid-month, real transformations around intimacy and self-worth, and a deeply personal culmination of who you are by the month's end. So Pisces, this month brings some profound personal and relational healing. I would say just surrender to it, even if it means there is a change with a relationship or there is a change at home. You got to put yourself first with that eclipse, that final eclipse in your sign, and prioritize your health and well-being above all. All right, well, let's take a look and see what do the cards have to say for my Pisces and Pisces risings. Like I said, some of my Pisces and Pisces risings are going to be pregnant. This is the Empress. And if not, it could be, if you are a mother, your status in your home, in your family, and what you're prioritizing, what you're taking care of, and are you taking care of yourself? It can be about your mom, right? There could be some relational things coming up about your mom with like the eclipse squaring Uranus, or, you know, your kingdom, right, as the Empress. But I feel like this is about you being like, I have to be 100% before I can give to my family, before I can give to my partners. And the eclipse says that. Jupiter in your 6th house says that with the trine to Saturn. And it's really about you really flourishing this month and really feeling like everything that you need is actually kind of like at your, you know, it's like at your fingertips. It's just a matter of you being like, okay, where can I grow and bring more beauty and more life to some of these areas? I would say with Jupiter in your 6th house, it's your health and your habits. But with Neptune in your 2nd, it's your values. And there is a sense of you reevaluating, do I really need this much, you know, or can I get back down to kind of like the basics while also still feeling like I can, treat myself. You're just doing it in a way that feels like a little bit healthier and a little bit more conservative at the same time. So something about motherhood, mothers, pregnancy, births, new beginnings, that seems to be the emphasis. And I would just say, put yourself first. Hopefully that's helpful. I hope you guys like that eclipse too. Last one, you just got one more that's going to be in that axis, and that's going to be the beginning of next year in Virgo. That'll be more relationship oriented. So good luck, and I'll catch you guys back here next month. And that is August 2026, my loves. There's this one thread running through every single sign this month, and I think it's that we're kind of living inside eclipse season, you know, with all these outer planets that are retrograde. Which means the universe isn't asking us just to grow. It's asking us to grow more honestly, to reflect more before we make some of these bigger changes. And structures that were maybe built on illusion or obligation or fear are now being kind of quietly tested this month. But I think what's real will hold, and what isn't won't. And that's not punishment. I think it's just the nature of, well, mercy and probably the Pisces eclipse. That Leo solar eclipse is asking us where we've been kind of dimming our own light, and the Pisces lunar eclipse is asking us where we're finally ready to release something so we can rest. So wherever those eclipses are landing in your chart, definitely pay attention. That's where you're going to see changes for the better part of like the next year and a half. And if this reading resonated with you guys, I want to hear about it. Drop your rising sign in the comments. Definitely let me know your biggest takeaway, what manifests, what kind of came about for you. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I know someone who needs to hear this, send them this video. It would be really helpful. And if you're not subscribed, please do click the subscription button and the bell button below, so that way you can see more of my videos on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. And you guys don't want to miss all the other videos in between. This is just a little bit of a snapshot of some of the things I'm going to be covering in August, but the bigger energies like the eclipses, the retrogrades, anything that's going to be connected to the major aspects, I will go more in depth as we go through the month. So this is just a little bite-size preview. But I hope you guys enjoy this and enjoy the month of obviously August, and I'll catch you guys back here. And if you want to see more about me and my work, definitely check out the links below and head over to my website at beyondtheveiltarot.com. You can see my schedule where I am scheduling now in October and November. So if you guys have birthdays or things coming up at the end of the year, I highly recommend booking. I've got a lot of things that are kind of changing with my work, my schedule, and all that stuff over the next couple of months. So sign up for my newsletter so you can be on the up and up with that. I will have some webinars and some other eclipse related things and retrograde related things coming up on the channel. And check out my courses and my transit calendars. You guys can find all of that at the link below. Enjoy the month. I hope it's a beautiful one for you guys. I'm excited to see what these eclipses bring and what you guys have in store. So share it in the comments, and I will see you guys back here next month in September. Take care.